This is the first time I feel like I've had a very clear executable plan of how to get past 100 a year.
And I was like, I'm going to pay Iman. So I paid him like 18 grand, sat down and had my hour with Iman. Never met him before, never talked to him. And it all basically just came down to like it. And you can get a couple thousand followers on both and then basically just make a couple $1 million doing like consulting deals.
If we could just continue to do what we're doing now progressively, just by spending a little bit more on ads and hiring more salespeople, we should double the company.
Yeah.
So just the B2B, $5 million a month.
We were low ticket to start. That's how we got to $1 million. The jump from 1 to 10 was doing, and then from 10 to 30 was changing it for.
In this podcast, me and Ryan talk about lessons that we've learned doing over $200 million in collective revenue. So we talk about what's working right now in the industry, some of the biggest business models that we've seen, areas we've both f***ed up and essentially have made tons of mistakes in our businesses, and so much more. So we'll get to the podcast. So first, for the people who don't know you, what's just the couple quick highlight reels? Who are you, the company, what you do, revenue, etc.?
Yeah, we have an info coaching business in the women's fitness space that's done over 100 million in cash collected. A lot of paid advertising, high ticket call funnels, testing now into some of the low ticket stuff. And then me, on a personal side, about a year ago, decided to run up YouTube and do 4 months every single day, kind of build an audience, talent, opportunities, network, and do all that.
So you recently crossed over 100 million total sales. You said 103.
Yeah, probably.
Right. So what do you think is the biggest breakthroughs along the way that you feel like kind of helped elevate you guys through the different stages and eventually over there? And what's your monthly right now?
Right now, bad. Like we did low 2 this last one.
Okay.
In Jan, because it's end of Jan. But
So-
last year we did 34.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
with a couple 5s, a lot of 3s, and some really
it goes
bad
up and down.
beginning.
Yeah. I get it. But what's some of the biggest things that helped you along the way?
I was thinking about that on the way here about how we can like talk about this, and I feel like I say a lot of the same things, so hopefully people don't hate the echo. But we were low ticket to start, no idea what we're doing. That's how we
Right.
like got into it.
Yeah.
And it was like 100-ish. Well, like that's how we got to $1 million. The jump from 1 to 10 was doing a call funnel, but we were selling info.
Right.
So it was a lifetime access. It started at $500, went to 1,000, went to
Yeah.
1,500.
Yeah.
And then from 10 to 30 was changing it from info to coaching.
Right.
So it was 1-to-1 instead. Like those were like the big, like if you had to look at the charts, that's what the change was.
And that's 30 per year.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it was like 1, 9, 10, 30.5 or whatever, 34 this last year. So like it's gone up every time.
What do you
But
think?
the stair steps was the offer.
What do you think is the biggest difference? Because like it's really interesting with health offers. It's like a lot of people can't break, let's say, 600 a month.
Yeah.
And then there's a handful of people, and there's like several who pretty much, I mean, look, like there's differences in the offer, but it's like pretty much the same offer, but they're ripping like 2 a month, 3 a month, 4 a month, 5 a month. I mean, I have a client doing, I don't know the exact number, but I know at one point it was 8 to 10 a month.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
like, what do you think's the difference between those, like the few people who are doing massive numbers, and then like, I would say most of like people in my mastermind who have an offer like yours are probably like 4 to 600, 3 to 600 ish.
Yeah. It's kind of like I always hear people say like, oh, like call funnels cap at like 3 million a month, or this happens at like $1 million a month, or 600 in that example. And I really don't think that it's that. Like, I don't think that people should even look at it as it's at a dollar value, because it's really volume. So like if someone has a 30K thing or someone has a 5K thing, or like we had a competition with these guys that have a 25K offer and we have a 7K offer. So we had like, and like it's different.
Tan and Salim.
Yeah. So it's very different in terms of that. So that's first, is like, I don't think it's the dollars. The difference in health market, I know 3 by name of like, that's kind of in our world, that's in health. And I'm sure there's a ton of ones that we don't know.
Yeah.
But that are in our world that are doing over 10 right now.
Right.
And
Who are they? Can you say who they are?
probably not friendly.
Probably
to
not?
do so I can break down their whole business models.
Yeah. Well, I know V-Shred, obviously.
Yep.
And then
Within health, yeah.
yeah, maybe I shouldn't say the next one. And then I'm trying to think of somebody else. But are you saying over 10 doing like more like high ticket stuff? Or are you saying some of those people doing over 10
Almost
are kind of like an e-commerce high ticket blend?
Yeah. So, and that's where I'm going with it, is like
Okay.
essentially at like an acquisition source at a certain point of a certain volume, like it just doesn't make sense to not be sweeping up or getting economy differences that you can get from something that's direct to cart, or having direct to cart subscription on back. Like it just at that size starts to make sense to have either multiple products for LTV side or multiple acquisition types to like offset and like liquidate.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, and 3 all use some version of a direct to cart.
Right.
As like an ascension model.
Yeah.
And whether that's like a test kit thing, whether that's an info product, whether that's whatever, and then they are massive direct response towards those things. They get the liquidation, they get the buyers instead of leads, and then they go through that. So it's like, that's our direction completely, because it's like, it's just so clear to us.
It's
that,
very
like,
clear.
I would volatility of just raw ramming lead funnels. And when I say that, I always call them lead funnels, but like opt-ins, VSL, free
anything
lead
that's
magnets,
lead gen.
Anything that's lead gen where there's not direct liquidation and people don't become a customer is like a lead funnel in my mind. And like they're needed, and you need new lead flow to come in. It's sometimes cheaper, but sometimes not cheaper, even when you do liquidation. Like we've had days, or let's say we run a low ticket, like you can have a $100 CPA with a $90 AOV, and it costs you $10 burned to get a customer, and you're getting $10 leads over here on a lead funnel, and those are not the same people.
No, not the same people.
Those are not the same people.
I would amend what you're saying to add something else, though. I would say the only other over 100 million health type of thing you could do is brand. So I'll give you an example. Like, if he wouldn't do this, but if Andrew Huberman launched a health offer,
for sure,
like he would probably be ripping, not even trying, 5 million a month.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I meant by
really
like, people in our world is kind of what I meant by, because like
people who aren't famous.
Yeah, people who are not, and people like there's a bunch of these companies that we were talking about the AI stuff a little bit, but like that it's found where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Never heard of them. It is info. It is in that world. It's direct response, and I've never heard of them. They're not in our groups or things or anything. But the other one that's in that grouping of health has a different traffic source, which is very interesting. So instead of having different acquisition and how they do their tiers or whatever, they basically do an affiliate / like partnership model. So they partner with,
I know who you're
right?
talking
Yeah,
about.
and they crush, right?
That's
and it's
a
like
very
this huge volume play. But it can be used in a lot of, I believe that it could be used in a lot of ways. And of course, it's on the back of all these guys who do direct response,
right?
The low ticket stuff.
And that's the one thing that's so I'll tell you a story. Is I went to this mastermind in 2020, literally the month before COVID. Like they almost canceled it because of COVID, but COVID nobody really knew if it was going to like break massively in the US. And at the time I was doing 150,000 a month with me and a part-time coach. So I'm just like solo guy trying to kind of figure out at the time I didn't really think the B2B would scale. I thought I was going to have to do RCA.
Yeah.
And I was even thinking about doing like an RCA low ticket to start, which would have been stupid, but that's what I was thinking. And so I went to kind of like learn that, but I also went because my buddy invited me, and I was like, it seems like a lot of high level people there. V-Shred was there, and dude, the whole event, like their main thing, which was crazy for me coming from like high ticket sales, was they were like, yeah, our big, like I'm talking companies doing over 100 million a year would get up and be like, yeah, our big breakthrough is we realized we had to keep rotating offers so many times because our LTV wasn't high enough. So we've been adding like high ticket. And that was like the breakthrough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, that's like common sense.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. But that's just, there's so much more in the DR world.
So much more.
And they were adding that for the first time. So there's a huge trend of those companies who, like there's this one, there was these guys from, I think it's called Natural Health Sherpa. They gave this talk about how to get off the offer crazy train, because they had to keep recycling offers to get their DR numbers to work. And they're like, yeah, we added coaching. We're selling 3K at the back end. Now our LTV is like 3X. And now an offer rides for like 2 years opposed to 6 months. And I just thought that was really interesting. So there's a huge need of those companies to kind of merge with high ticket.
Yeah.
There's a merge coming there.
And they're doing
there's another merge between media and also high ticket, because that's the best way to monetize media.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're like super famous on social media. Unless like you're to the Logan Paul's point where you're just going to do Prime or something like that. Yeah,
the big thing with those guys are that, as he's edge case, but like even a lot of them is the servicing. They don't want to be part of it. They don't want to be the guru. They don't want to be.
Exactly.
And like yesterday we talked about this at dinner. There was 2 different guys who are like super. They're running as growth partners, growth op or whatever for very, very well-known famous. And they're like, they refuse to do content, like to do ads, like straight facing.
I know who
like
you're
it has to
talking
be whatever. They refuse to do this. They do like, they don't want to be on the back. Like, it's just like not that interesting, whether that's because the dollars aren't that interesting or like the clout and like vibe. And I get it. I mean, I don't sell anything. I don't know. But to go back, the health one is an example. Someone who's doing that with the partnership, like affiliate model. When I started doing internet stuff was affiliate lead gen world, all of that. And I have like a lot of friends. That's still their business model.
And those guys are probably the best. I would say those guys are probably the best media buyer, copywriter, marketer
They
people.
literally are.
Then there's ecom, which most of them just graduate into ecom.
Yeah.
We're actually
they want to.
We're actually like our industry, whatever you want to call it, people who do high ticket sale coaching things. We're like kind of the worst, I would say.
Yeah.
You know,
but
we're the best with monetization
because we have the most room for error. Through that. Yeah. So I don't know why it's taken me so long. Like we tried it a couple years ago and did like a month long. I got up at like 4 a.m. I built an entire low ticket in like a morning. Was like just run it, and it was on Alan Sultanic's AC framework at that time because this was like 2 years ago. And we ran it, and they were like, "Oh, the economics of it suck." No one even looked at the ads. Like it was just like a team dynamic, a buy-in, a whole thing where it was just like, "Oh, we'll just run on this little side thing."
Yeah,
barely any pixel stuff, and then we looked and it was getting like multiple $100 purchases for like a $27 thing or whatever. We just like turn it off. And we just went back and it was like lead funnels. And we've just been in this game of like, how do we, you know, spend 30 grand a day, 50 grand a day, 20 grand a day, like all over the board. And then, you know, manage these fluctuations and manage the huge fluctuation of the media buying paired with the huge fluctuation of a sales team. And that's it. And it's like when they're both good, you're printing cash. When one is bad, you're like breaking even, only making money on the back. And when both are bad, you're literally burning the back money. It's like, it has been our rampant. And it's like, it's terrible. So like we were talking revenue maxing versus profit maxing. We've had like, we're good, but like, by no means are we like you good. And now the economics of how we're starting to shift it, it's like clear as day that it just needs a little bit more volume to get over like the essentially like overhead burden and or like in a cash flow sense, prior sales, all of that. Like we just keep all of that sitting there. So on cash flow, you're like, oh, this isn't whatever. But when you look at like the unit economics now, Josh Gavin was just talking about low tickets at Nick Fisher's event. And I was like, I wish I would have shared the numbers, but we had a day 4 or 5 days ago where we spent like 30 grand, call it. Raw CPA on days like $3,200 or 3,000 something, let's call it. You go down, we have all these columns, and then you go to the net world, and it's like $1,400.
Yeah,
because it liquidated so much from like we're starting to like teeter in that direction, and I'm like, how fast can we do this? Because I wanna just have leads going to the highest value, highest ones, like the 1 to 3% that are ready to buy, basically going through application, getting on a phone call ready, and or organic. There's so many levers.
Is your low ticket, would you say it's validated right now?
Yes.
Or, okay, so it is.
Yes.
So you're kind of, so correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like, because I talked to you a couple months ago.
And it was not.
And you're like, we're trying to figure out how to do it. I think like we might have cracked it, but I don't know. We're like 2 days into this test. So now you feel like you've cracked it, finally. And it's a matter of you have a lot of spend. So it's just shifting the spend and letting that eat the spend of the other thing.
Yeah, and the constraints of low ticket are when you increase spend, does CPA rise with it? Because that's bad. And that's usually comes back to media buying, offer, and or right now what we're in a big belief of is our creative engine. We don't
you
test
need way more creative with low ticket.
So that's why like you see all my stuff right now is like I'm hiring a paid creative strategist. We need a person that owns all the editors and just has here's what the recipe that's working right now. I need 20 from this, 20 from this, and we have hundreds new a week is like that's the next target for that. So that's like constraint 1. Constraint 2 then is we go direct to call from that. So then you need the mass, essentially setter army, right? Because if you're selling 300 a day and you're getting 60%, call it 50 for easy math, you're getting 150 setter bookings. Are they fit? And I message this. I'm like, are they 15? Are they back-to-back 15s? Are they 30 minutes? Yeah. And we're doing inbound Zooms. So they're booking in inbound Zoom calls. And then what's the show rate on there? What are the levers you can pull? What's the throughput of that to closers? Let's say blended numbers, 25%, right? That makes it to a closer call. So you're getting like a healthy amount of closer bookings that then that you no longer need to run as anywhere near as much lead campaigns, VSL opt-in stuff. And the economics are like 10 times better. The closer environment's better or should be. But then all of a sudden you have this training arc because then you ramped a bunch of people and they're just passing everyone through and the closers get pissed. Like there's that whole world. So it's like constraint. But you see the economics at like a small / medium scale and you're like, oh.
Right.
Oh, this is why.
Let me give you something that I learned with setters this year. And by the way, if you like this content and you want to come to our next event where I'm gathering all entrepreneurs, people like Ryan, and we're talking about what's working in the industry, what's not working in the industry, and the lessons that we've learned, scaling to over 100 million in total revenue. We have an event coming up in our 8-figure border mastermind. If you want to know more information about that, you can click the link in the description and it'll tell you all about it. Let me give you something that I learned with setters this year. and it's kind of embarrassing because I should know this, but what happened with us is two things. Number one, I like, just because I have such an overview of the industry, like I have kind of benchmarks of, based on your funnel, how many leads you need per month per setter. So I was kind of using those benchmarks to inform me in my business how many setters that I needed. And the thing is, I think it's just because we've been around for so long now and we have so many leads in the pipeline that are just old leads. I was at the event that you were at and Tom spoke and he was like, yeah, we added a setter team just to call our old leads, and we added $1 million a month. And I was like, fucking A. Like, and we've actually tried that, but what happens is we never really took it that seriously. And then when we had setter churn on our main team, we just moved the guys up because all of them wanted to be on that team anyways. But I was like, so during the talk, I just went over, I was like, to my one of my sales directors, I was like, we're 100% gonna go fucking full bore with this. So then we doubled the setter team in October. And kind of like in November was like training. So December was the first month where we kind of had the full team. So that was the first thing we did. So we doubled the team. And then number two, we basically, I was like, man, and this is a huge breakthrough, is that our setters, I'm just going to throw out random numbers because I don't know the exact numbers, but let's just call it they were making $6,000 to $7,000 a month. Okay. I was like, you know what? Let's just like try to get them all to $10,000 a month. And the thing is, that doesn't seem like much money. Like that's an extra $24,000 a month. Like that's nothing when you're spending what we're spending on ads. But that's a 30% or more. I think it's actually a 40% pay raise.
Yeah.
And so in the recruiting marketplace, that gets you an entirely different caliber of talent.
Yeah.
And then what we did is basically just marketed to closers who wanted to close for us and just said, hey, you got to do setting for 6 months.
Yeah, set to close, yeah.
And then they're like, okay, I'll do it as long as I can move up. But what that does, even though you have the churn in 6 months, it takes the ramp time from like, let's say 30 to 45 days as a setter to a week, or sometimes like a day. Like they're closers.
Yeah.
And if you've been a closer, setting is pretty easy. So between the increased caliber of just having better people, because if you think about it, if you're getting a random outbound call from somebody and they're like really good, like a closer, good, smart, like they can, on an outbound call, can make you think differently about your problem or whatever. Dude, it not only affects show rate, but it also massively increases close rate.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because they had such a good impression on that first call that they kind of like the prospect sort of thinking and like in their mind visualizing maybe working with you before they get on that second call. Where even if a setter has a good show rate but they're not that good, you don't see the close rate pick up.
Yeah.
So like our set to close went higher. Our show rate was like 88%, 90%.
Wow.
And then dude, because we had so many more setters, we were able to, even though maybe the extra setters and the extra pay cost us, let's say 30 extra grand a month, we were able to cut our spend from over 500K to like 260 and still keep the calendars.
Because of the efficiency, because you're squeezing more from
extra efficiency.
Yeah. So
like profit wise, when it falls to the bottom line, I don't know the exact percentage, but I want to say
you
it was like
150 or something.
35% increase in profit in 1 month. It's fucking insane. So as you're building out the setter team, maybe consider just letting it be a track to being a closer.
So that's
keeping them there 6 months and just getting really good people. Get people who like are impressive, not like runty setters.
Yeah. So my math isn't working like that currently. This is like we churned 3 sales leaders in 2025. Like the full person who's in charge of the department. First one was the one that was with us from 1 to 3 million.
Right.
Good dude, all good. Second one, really good skill, but like was not a culture match. That's a huge thing for us right now, is like the actual culture match. We have, it's 90+% of the team is female. The entire target demo is 40, 60+. Like, generally speaking, a male doesn't usually. And
it's Shelby Sapp to run your team, dude.
Even that demo generally is not fantastic. Right? It's like, it's kind of this weird zone, and it's much harder on the leader or like to have a proper leader. And it's not even gender and it's not age. It's like, it's the ability to like, the maturity, the empathetic, right? All that. But the third one was good, but then got poached by Big Dog, and respectfully so, because, I'm not him. The opportunity is not there, and the market and who he gets to work with is not who he gets to work with. Like, it just makes sense. So I'm like, run it, please. Like, that is a good opportunity. So we're running it essentially like in-house right now with the most culturally aligned human we have on our team, who has like gone through coaching and then built our entire coaching division, and then now passed that off to another so she's running it, and like the team is shifting. It's like the beliefs are up, the culture's there, but like the sales skills isn't necessarily. We brought a setter up to be the inbound setter manager. So we have it broken out as, we call them imps, ad cons, and outbound, or like self. We call them self. And they're in separate teams fully. So we have like full imp setters. We have full ad confirm, which is like technically going down now, because there's more that are only going through imp. They set their own calls, right, with a closer. So you don't have as many like marketing direct bookings through app to closer call direct.
Yeah.
So that goes down, and we have 0 outbound, and we've basically had 0 outbound forever. We had no setters until we were at like 80 something million, 90 million, like 0.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I talked to someone yesterday, same thing you're saying, is like, oh, like you're literally leaving potentially like millions a month on the table.
It massively reduces your CPA and it increases your profitability, not necessarily because of the extra appointment generation, but that does help, but also because those appointments should be, if the setters are good. That's what happens, is they skimp.
Yeah.
But if you get really good people, sometimes those leads will close at 40, 50%. And it's much easier to do a best leads to the best closers if you just tell your setters, hey man, hey, just put your best people with the best people. Like,
yeah.
It's super easy to do it that way.
I am actively hunting. So anyone who's watching this, or you, or like, I need someone who fits that bill for the outbound setter world, and they can build an army, and like budget's there, and like I'm huge about just like, you can build it. I will meet with you, lead, direct, point this thing, like budget allocation, but like you can build your whole own thing within our ecosystem is like kind of been the model. And I need that because I have nobody who can do that right now. But I believe that would be a big lift. And like you said, it's like just between touch points, the squeeze, and the quality, like it's pretty impossible for it not to work, especially at a low scale. But like, who knows? We've never done outbound we don't have an outbound dialing software even. Like, we don't do any of that because we haven't needed it.
Right.
So like I'm very excited about that, but the sales piece has always been a big struggle for us, and we're only a sale. We forever didn't sell anything direct to car.
Is you have so many people, right? Yeah. So it's tough to, number one, like even if you bring in somebody really good, they're not going to get enough time with everybody, right? Because there's so many people.
Yeah.
And so that's a tough thing. You may want to consider, if you have that one person who's really good with culture, if she's also good with like the systems and kind of the structure and ever, just like bringing in, even like fractionally or not fractionally, just some like trainers.
Yeah.
Just to like budget some extra call reviews and training within the
closing side.
Yeah. Or within whatever teams. Because that's like one director on a huge team can handle the infrastructure, the systems. Yeah. Okay,
we're down now. It's like 15. It's like 15, 16 closers right now. Like, we scaled down.
Well, it's not bad. Well, one manager could do that.
Yeah. So what do you use for AI right now in regards to like, I guess in anything, but like within the sales bucket? So like, we are about to roll one that's like one of those mock dialers, as well as like call transcripts, like or reviewing more so like the management AI. We have 0 of that right now. Like, we use HubSpot. We just got Sales Momentum, Aaron Platt to do like the build out for the data side of it and kind of the flow. But that doesn't necessarily solve, like, it makes it easier in the dashboard and all the data in one place, which has been a mess. But like, we don't have anything for reviews, management, scorecards.
Well, so to be honest, like, our team to management ratio is not big enough to where I feel like we need like a call review AI software. It's funny, it's not that hard to build. Like, we could build one. Somebody on our team actually used to build one, so I could like inherit theirs if I really wanted it internally or something like that. But it would only be really used to identify for the managers which calls to review. Like, maybe flag, hey, I think this closer missed this deal. Like, I think this is a closable deal. Because like, where you want to target your call reviews on the call is the calls that I call the fringe deals. Calls that didn't close, but should have closed. Yeah. Right? So, but we don't have that, just because I think our coverage is good enough with our manager to rep ratio to not have that. I used to have an AI SMS thing. I just built it myself. This was back in like 2023. That was for the RCA side. It would automate all the text triage, and then it would allow the setters to come in and take over. But the credits, back then at least, it'd probably be way less expensive now. The credits were like so much that I was like, dude, this automates like 2 messages for the setters. Like, what productivity gain am I really getting here? So we don't have that. Mock dialers, you could test it for old leads. Again, I'm just having my guys rip dialer. Yeah. And especially with dialer, we can output so many dials. I just have my pipeline setters hit those. So the only thing I think on the sales side, I could be missing something because it's like we use AI for a lot of stuff, but the main thing is Saleskick, which my CMO built. That's a whole software product that uses AI for the app grading and lead routing.
Yeah.
And
So is that, what is that a replacement of? Because I was literally looking at that like.
Well, it's not a replacement. It's really, it's a replacement kind of for your sales coordinator in a way, right?
The human, not like Calendly.
Yeah, not yet. So I'll get to that in a second. So it essentially automatically through AI grades the applications, and we've tested it. We have it about at a 98% thing. So like in our sales coordinator will go through each morning and just make sure it did it all right. It'll also in real time move the appointments to where they need to be in the calendar. So like I'll give you an example. If let's say you have a sales coordinator who works US hours, right? They're going to wake up at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday, and then they're going to take off all the unqualified applications that are like spam or whatever. Well, what happens is inevitably that leads to open slots on your calendar because they'll do that as the day is going on, but obviously they can't do it when they're sleeping. Or if they do, you have to hire a second person that's overseas to look at the appointments that are coming in overnight. So what happens is like I might be a closer and have 5 appointments on my calendar in the morning, and then it started booking out on the next day. Mm-hmm. But then some of these were spam. So now I have 3 appointments on my calendar today, and then I have some that I got to call and try to pull forward. But with Saleskick, that won't happen. So it does that. It does all the confirmations through AI and the SMS confirmations. Mm-hmm. And honestly, like it's pretty much as good. I think the deliverability is better using SMS. We did a test, then the iPhone and the SendBlue and the iPhone factory. Yeah, I mean, look, I was very hesitant when I saw the results, but I think when you're at my scale, what happens is okay, if we were to use real people with iPhones, they'd each have to have like 3 iPhones, and we'd have to have like a bunch of people just because we have so many appointments. And then the other thing is so many lines get burned, and you have to test the lines like a ton. And so inevitably when the lines get burned, what happens is you don't really know for a couple of days, and then that drops your confirmation rate. So when we switched over to SMS, we did a test, and our amount of confirms that we actually got were higher. And so there's that, and our show rate went up as well.
I think I solved this. So we were on one of the Blue Sending platforms, and we moved to a different one that was much better cost and just looked like it had a better kind of like managerial zone on it versus just one of these ones that's like, because what the issue was is it basically was connecting a contact to a number, and then that was it for a long time. And then it was like, oh, I passed my phone to the, when you go from setter to closer, I passed my phone. It's like this weird thing in the OG days. And then they kind of added some other features. But so we ended up on a different one, which I can tell you off this. And the 3-way texting. So you can do group 3-way texting.
Sure.
So the ad confirm or the imp, they're like, okay, cool. Yep. Let me just drop you the thing right now. Boom. Yep. You got assigned with XYZ closer. And they drop a group chat of the setter, the closer, and the person in blue.
But this is only off the setter.
Yeah, and when they get ad confirm, so they all go through a setter.
Well, okay, so obviously, if our setter books somebody, the setter just handles the confirmation for the appointment.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm talking if it just comes from a direct booking from ads.
Yeah, so then you try and do it through an ad confirm, which is like for us, we get like 60% of them confirmed.
Yeah, and
so if you get 100,
they're just using iPhones.
No, they're using this tool.
So is the tool a SendBlue type of thingy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And they use it, and it's native. So like the rule of 50 a day or whatever new contacts is made up. It could be, you could get burned on 20, you could get burned on 200.
Yeah.
So like we don't use it for blasts, for example. Like you cannot use it because you got to like scatter across.
Right.
And the other issue is you hit this, then you got to move to multiple lines when you have more volume and all this stuff. It's not an issue when it's actually like a human using it. It's basically just like a computer version of an iPhone instead. Like it's a desktop version of an iPhone. And you just don't run into as many like those issues. There's still issues for sure.
Yeah.
But like
I feel like this is a unique you're good with this stuff. I feel like for most people,
I'm proud to say I didn't even set it up or wasn't part of it, which is great in my land. But yeah, no, that's how we're solving for it. And we saw a big uptick when we initially did it, and then there's like all these bugs and things and stuff that have happened over time. So like I don't know. I just know that the green out of the box kind of canned ones were never friendly, but I also know that we have a bunch of Android in our demo and all that. Like, who really knows?
It is tough because you got to think just with Apple, they don't want you to do this.
No.
Right? SMS is built to do this.
Yes.
So you ultimately, and it's the same thing with Dialer. The reason Dialer works better is because it's more compliant with the way it's set up. And whenever you have more compliance, you have more deliverability. And when you have more deliverability, you have more results. Yeah. But going back to Saleskick, the other thing is that the calendar, we'll start testing it internally for us in the next week or two. We're waiting for authentication with Google. And then once we get that, we'll have basically a replacement for OneHub. And that's going to change the game because
I can't believe you use OneHub.
It's dude, with all the functionality we need for moving appointments,
all
this
it's
stuff,
the best one
and double and single booking, you have to use it. But even if you compare it to Calendly or whatever else, the time it takes to go through scheduling a time and filling out the application, we tested it with both identical flows, and it shaves off like 10 to 15 seconds, which is like, I think of the entire thing, like 30 to 40%. So that's going to increase conversions a lot. Also, I just think it's way better, like CRO optimized.
Yeah.
We're like building, like
so it'll be a replacement
for an internal enterprise, internal team communication thing.
So you're building like iClose from the back. So like you already did the back side, and now you're going to do the front.
And that'll come in, and then it also has so much more like lead delegation, just weighting of bookings and making sure the best people go to the best closers, and a bunch of other functionality that
How does it know the best closers? Then you push in.
Yeah, well, based on the app grade and the weighted grade of the app, it can delegate the best ones to the best ones.
How is it knowing who the best closer is? Is because you're going to push?
We're going to input it into the system and then wait.
And then you update it, and then you just update based on 14-day trailing or 30 or whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like we yesterday did, Aaron Platt talked at Nick's thing, and he was talking about like Roka, and I was like, what about net versus like versus gross on spend now that we have this like low ticket piece? And he's like, yeah, I always did it so it was net new cash basically divided by cost of bookings, but I also added commission amount, so it was like straight up like return on rep. Like literally, what did we pay them? What did we pay for bookings? What did we pay them? And like the next thing I could have done is like, what is their software cost? Like, what is the true all-in cost?
Right.
And then versus like what they brought in net. And it's pretty. That's a pretty interesting stat for us.
We have that too.
Like,
but it's just very simple because we just allocate the spend evenly based on the amount of slots that they have, or we take our cost per scheduled call, and then depending on how many slots they have open, we can assign all of the how much spend weighted to each rep, because some reps take more calls than others. Like some might have 10 slots open a day, some might have 7.
So here's for,
and then we can see what their closes are, and then what the actual return is per rep.
How do your clients, or you've had in the past, how do you grade an application in the health industry?
Well,
because you're not asking what's your net worth, how much are you willing to wire live on the call.
Look, like
what's your current
I would have to like. It's not top of mind because it's not something that I'm actually doing, but I would imagine occupation is the big one, right? Because with occupation, and then you could even feed that, and then it's like, what do you do for work? Because that does relate to health stuff. Sure. Is like, what do you do for work? I think that's the number one thing. And then you can test having a financial qualifier question in there or not. I think what's better, so another Saleskick test, is we found that 50% of people, this was with one client, lied on their financial question. Meaning if they said they had whatever your version is of I have no money, 50% of people who said they have no money actually had money, and 50% of people who said they had money had no money. It's not exactly 50%, but it was around there. So essentially you're DQing these people who have money. Maybe they don't have intent, that's a different story, but they don't have money and you're just DQing them. And so we tested with that client removing that question, and it also increased to 20% throughput. And then you just do financial data, which does cost money, but like it outweighs.
Yeah, what is it now? Like $2?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think the financial data thing is, and that's another thing Saleskick will do, is essentially with the financial
data. Oh, it does
do
that.
With the financial data, it'll take that and weight that into the grade real time. So like you could even have it to where the people with the most money based on the financial data go to the best closers.
And it's name, email, phone, and it pulls.
Yeah. And so the way it has to happen is, I think, again, like you're asking me all these technical questions and I'm very much not the technical guy, but it's like in the beginning, you have to have name, email, phone number first so it can send get back before they finish.
Yeah. So that has been so we've never used one of those. And so we're in our health world.
For B2C, it's huge.
We use, that makes a lot of sense, but we've never done it. So financial qualifier-ish. The only qualifying question we have in ours is how much have you invested in the past into yourself within this like XYZ thing.
Right. That's
so
not a bad one.
It's 0 to 1, 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 whatever. And we basically just the 0 to 1s. We just push to a DQ one, but we take all the DQ calls still. We just put them on it's like the lower router versus the higher router in terms of that. And then setters all go to the higher one as well. It's like kind of the buckets. But yeah, that's super interesting. I don't know. We were just doing so much volume for so long that that using one of these tools was like 7, 10, 15, 20, like a month
it'd be a
order
lot
to do that.
Well,
and same thing with what you're saying is like the time in which it took it to go back and forth to route. We were using like Jot, and then it's like, how are you going to like push and then put them on the right page?
Yeah.
Like,
eventually, for your call funnels, even though you're trying to get rid of it, you should, especially when the calendar feature comes out, you should look into Saleskick because I think it's going to be
I'm done.
By far.
We are so in the calendar.
Best solution.
Disgusting. But like I'm down. Like
Calendars, I don't know why I can never explain it. I always remember, my team tells me, and then I forget. But there's something for most people can work, but as you get into this double single booking, rerouting, all this stuff, there's some functionality. There's like 1 or 2 things it can't do. It has gotten better.
lot of things you can't like when you try and change.
But
like,
I hate
who the owner is.
OneSub's a piece of shit.
When they made some new update that you like go to edit something and literally just like does one of like even just the time of in which to like go through the admin portal to find something you need takes like minutes to find, like it's terrible.
So one thing that you could test that we did with our B2C is, so the issue with the financial data is great for lead routing and app quality, but the thing is you can't really send it back to the pixel, because if you do, you can only do it US only. So what happens is if you're doing US, Canada, Britain, let's say,
all of a sudden
only the US is only the people who have money from the US will send. But those countries will send everything, and then all your spend will go to those countries.
Interesting.
So that sucks. But here's how. So I don't do it on the front end anymore. But what I did is for the opt-in, I changed the CTAs in the ad. This is just for B2C to say like, to make it seem like, hey, fill out this short personalized form, and we'll send you the training or whatever that's custom to your goals. And frankly, like, okay, you should probably create a couple videos, but you could just send them the same video. And then what that does is you can ask occupation in that, or you can ask some sort of question that sort of like segments.
Yeah.
And then that becomes what you send back to the pixel. For B2C, that has helped lead quality so much. And in that way, it works across all the countries.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a quiz funnel, but it's still the VSL.
We're in a quiz.
And it's just no, they can't enter name, email, phone number, or anything like that. Or I mean, no, we do that because we call the leads. So they do enter name, email, phone number, but the first questions are they're all just quick multiple choice.
Yeah. Super interesting.
So what do you do? Because with low ticket, the big thing you mentioned, obviously creative production, which I would say, by the way, that's the big thing. When everybody gets in a low ticket, it's so much more creatively demanding than the call funnel.
Yeah.
But what I will say is it's more of a reveal, because with low ticket, if you're not making enough creatives, obviously you see it in your CPAs going up, right? The thing is, with the call funnel, it kind of absorbs the spend more.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you do make more creatives, your lead quality with the call funnel will go way up as well. So that's one thing. I feel like the low ticket almost reveals like your lack of creative quality that you had with your call funnel. But I'm curious, like, you're doing a bunch of creatives. Like, what's your new process?
Nothing yet. That's what we're trying to build into. So it's
do you know what you're trying to build?
Yeah. So first off, we had Luke, co-founder, right? Like he is the one who was spending. He did product market fit, and then he also was the one who was spending for us like up to like 20 a day. So it was literally like me basically doing like marketing tech structure. I was talking about this. I was more plugged in the industry. He was the actual like copywriting, like looking at the creative and doing all the media buying. And like it was us. And then we had like a copywriter for a long time. Right. And then we tested agencies, and that was like this big flop, and we didn't have loads of like this whole thing. We then last year was the first time like let's build an in-house full team on the marketing side.
Yeah.
So it was a tough kind of learning curve, but I'm saying all this to be like, we now are breaking out organic from paid, because we've been 99% paid first click always. We have a ton of content, but it all exists middle and bottom of funnel. And it's like a consumption game, which again does work. And like they raise their hand when they're ready, and like we send 2 emails a day plus automations plus assist. But the new structure of the team is like an organic director on the side, and I'm like, how do we get to 120 pieces a week? We're at 10. and like what does that organic creative machine look like, and two different teams. So we're gonna have an organic, basically like we have the director, we're gonna have a social media like a coordinator post person, and then we're gonna have like mass amounts of short form editors, mass amounts of this. Everyone I talk to is like burn through agencies. Actually, it's even better to do that, which I thought was very interesting. I've heard that twice now, and it's like you get an agency that's can pump out hundreds a week. They go internal, they basically push internal. They have access to all the reporting, and then they post. And then after X amount of months, they basically are like in this lull, or like it needs something new and creative. And then you have this other agency that fills, and you just constantly churn them. And I'm like, that's interesting. You hear Hormozy talk about like, oh, we just learn from them and then bring it in house.
Yeah.
I've heard now 3 of the other big names of people in our world have bought short form agencies, or have bought organic content agencies that then have basically gone to zero internal once they bought them, and then they've gone back to using external agencies. Like this very interesting arc.
So we don't know.
We don't on the organic. I'm going to try and do it in-house. I'm going to do it in-house.
So on the media side, the few things I've learned, and it's limited because we're just really kicking it off this year, is number one, it's a totally different department than your ads.
Yeah. So,
that might sound like common sense, but we used to try to like do it all in one meeting. And obviously what's like the pressing stuff, if you're ads dependent, is always going to be the ads. Yeah. So the social media so we had it's like a new division, right? We just new meeting, break it out. So there's some crossover with people, but you got to break it out. And then I would say it's fine to use an agency at first, but all the best people have it internal. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you want to go towards. Yeah. I would say, I think the only thing we're thinking about agencies about, not for YouTube, but like for short form, is just increased distribution. Because
like
the thing is like if you have
clipping like agency wise.
Yeah, because like we're even thinking about, okay, we have an agency for short form, but internally we can build a function, and then why even let go of the agency? Because they're finding totally different stuff, or even the filming I do with that agency is totally different. So let them keep doing what they're doing, and then we build 4 posts a day or 3 posts a day internally, and then that way we just have bigger distribution.
Yeah.
And then hiring a different agency for the sub account thing.
Yeah. So we're breaking the organic one, similar mindset of, let's build it in-house and do that for organic. On the paid side, the difference is like still gonna have short form editors, still gonna have a couple graphic designer, right? Like there, but then you have a creative strategist, which we were talking about, like that's specific for paid, that gets the recipes right on what's working now, passes down. Then they also have like a new iterations. They have like iteration department, and they have like new department, where they're constantly cycling there. Because again, I went to another mastermind that was an affiliate specific one. The guy's like, yeah, we test like 500 to 1,000 new a week, Jesus and I'm Christ. Like. Pulling up our like scorecard. I'm like 26 tested last week. Spending similar-ish amounts. Completely different ball game when it's direct response, lead gen versus brand, but like still. So that's like the big change or direction there. But I don't know, because I don't know on the distribution of short form. I am so back and forth on this. You talk to Iman or any of these guys?
No, I'd like to talk to him at some point.
So I don't know if the market's where it is probably a good preface for this, because when it was the Tate model and it was that, that's when Iman did it. So he talks about this in his program and his stuff, but he built in-house. And the main core reasoning is the control. Yeah. So you can just push the narrative to whatever direction you want at whatever time. You have a new offer, you have a new cycle, you have this, you want to be fame, you want it to be towards that. Like, I think you can control it, but he had like 100 people. Yeah. Internal that were clipping essentially, and then they own all the pages.
Yeah, and the more I think about it with short form, because I've been thinking a lot about like YouTube, I feel like we have a very concrete strategy, and YouTube is also naturally more of a top of funnel platform. With short form, it's like, especially Instagram and YouTube Shorts, it's like tough. Yeah. It's like I don't see a lot of people doing like a post or 2 a day, and then unless there's something that happens outside of the Instagram, or they just have like something. You don't see as many people predictably grow on Instagram. No. But I think the more I think about it...
Or they do it in the wrong way. Yeah. Where they do it
I think a lot of it is a volume game. Like, I think that... obviously you have to have good content. Yeah. So you can't just post a bunch of shit. Yeah. But like, that's why I'm trying to get my page up to 4 or 5 posts a day, and then have the sub-account strategy. And if they're able to do another 15 across sub-accounts... by repurposing all of the stuff we're doing on the main side.
And they all point to the main.
And they all point to the main, and they're all shared to the business manager, so I can pixel all the views. And then I can retarget with those views.
Yeah. We don't. So then comes the next thing. Okay, so it's like, all right, you solve for that. Then DM setting or link in bio or ManyChat or something. So like we have no DM setting.
Yeah, I know. It's like a whole other thing.
It's a whole other thing
you got to do.
So
thankfully, it's not that hard. It's pretty simple. But I would say, don't throw it on some random person on your team. Be like, hey, you're managing the DM setters now. I think you just need to hire somebody to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's actually decent agencies who do it too. DMsetting.com. They sent me a loom on my DM setting, and honestly, I was like, yeah, we need to do some things better.
Yeah.
But I would imagine for the ad side, you would have probably somebody responsible for finding, or a team, how to convert organic into ads.
Mm-hmm.
Another person or two, or however many you want, just AI, right? Another person just remixing top performers. And then another group of this is if you wanted to fucking blow it up. And then another group of editors dedicated to new angles and new creative production.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of, I don't know if that's how you would think about it, but if I was trying to get to like 100 like tons, that's probably where I would be thinking.
Yeah, I'm going for hundreds. I have this whole, like, I feel like it's literally right there. I could, if you had a whiteboard, I could like show exactly what it is, which for a very long time I could not. Before it was like more of the same, scale the current thing, and now it's like, well, this lever pulled here on, so the marketing side, it's like, okay, let's get organic to 50% of bookings. Like, how insane would that be, and what would that take, right? And it's like, what would that look like, and let's just go there and land in the stars, right? Like type of
the nice thing with health, though, dude, is health is much easier to scale short form wise.
Agreed.
Especially with a woman face.
Agreed. And we have multi-face. So it's like, if I go from back to front, like organic being the very front with 3 band faces, I want to go full like influencer army mode. And whether that's per post, ideally it's per like CPA style rev share, because now we have direct to cart that we can do. Instead of going to leads, you don't have to wait for X amount of time for like some CPA on some large thing. You can do CPA now shorter because there's like cash there. So it's like that whole army of things. Do you go into physical products? You can leverage TikTok Shop and all that. We can do that in our market. So it's like there's organic. Direct response shifts to 90+% is direct to cart. So then your economics of that plus the economics of that, like you have a zero, like, dream world, but you have a zero or profitable essentially front end because of that with those blended. Then it goes into an extremely high-performing, high-ticket team that can just scale linear, like as the booking flow continues to rise and go there, boom. Then you go into the high-ticket land, and then on the back is I'm like tripling down on.
Yeah.
So we're going subs and physical products and in real life and like all.
So what would you say would be the biggest kind of like challenges / things you're working on now? So there's organic, right? Scaling the low ticket. You got to figure out the setters. Then you mentioned obviously. Maybe launching a physical product site at some point.
For sure.
What else?
Yeah. Like what else in addition?
Did I just name all the challenges?
No, those are.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, those are pretty difficult.
I don't think I need any more on my plate.
No. It's a lot. It's a lot. So I think we'll be good on the organic side. It'll take time. I think the culture shift of the sales side, adding fun new blood, like we'll need a larger team in order to do the volume we're talking about doing.
Yeah.
So that's like the acquisition piece. And then we get the economies of the direct response and we can continue to scale into that. There's also like within that lane, do you do partnership, affiliate, influencer army, like, but then you remove the call. So, okay, cool, is it break even? And then you just get 10,000 customers a day. Like, there's that world. Because we could play that game. And then all the consumption, all the email, everything becomes the squeeze. So it's like we start the weekly webinars now, starting next week inside the community. That's the free / low ticket community that didn't exist. There's 10 bookings a week, 100 bookings a week. Like, who knows?
One thing about your organic that you can build that'll actually help build it quite well is using the low ticket community as a way to kind of filter back to your organic.
Yeah.
I know this sounds a little strange, but when I did on YouTube, when I first did sales content, my views were honestly like for how like the content wasn't up. I just would get on and just be like, okay, here's how to handle an objection. Like I didn't do any of the YouTube best practices, packaging, titling, whatever. But what really helped is like I quickly had a base of like probably 5,000 to 10,000 people who were in our low tickets or in our program, who would naturally, like, literally on their feed, just watch every video. And so that kind of helped do it. But then once we stopped RCA, then I drop a sales video, I could tell, like, it just reset back down to, like, 2K. You know? So I think that'll help a lot.
Yeah, I think so, too. What do you think I watched the Ravi one before this, and this is like comical, the difference. We're in it.
We're super
in it.
tactical.
We are in it.
Ravi's more of the lifestyle guy.
Noted.
I'm like, dude, it's 9 a.m. and you're asking me about like how we like do this automation and this lead route. I'm like, fuck, man, I gotta ask some guy on my team.
It's like that. But what do you think, to go a little outside of that, what do you think is your next like skill set evolution, or like what's the gap?
Well, there's a couple, right? So I would say the biggest one I'm spending time on is the media side. And specifically, a couple of things is like, because I don't really want, both because personally I don't want it, and I think there's a good business case. I don't want to be like Jeremy Miner, right? Mm-hmm. Like where he, for the last decade plus, and probably for the next decade, he's doubled down on just sales training for all industries. Well, number one, I don't do all industries for sales training. Number two, I help people either get into sales or I help sales teams. Yeah. Right. So like getting just sales people doesn't really hit my target market. And it's just, I'm also just not, I like sales, right? Do I want to make every video about sales? I just don't. Yeah. Right. So the big thing I'm trying to work on is, okay, for our new content strategy, which is much more broader, right? And more like brand focus and just trying to expand and get a lot of views. Okay, great. If I'm doing that though, how do I sort of categorize myself to where, Dan Martell's kind of the SaaS AI business influencer guy right now. You have Cody Sanchez, who's the boring business, right? Like there's a brand association. Mm-hmm. I've had the benefit of being the like sales guy, which is great. I don't mind that. But for like YouTube and organic, what's my kind of new association, so to speak? Like that's kind of something that I still want to do sales content, don't get me wrong. But that's one of the things that's a little, and maybe it still is sales, I just do it in a different way. So that's one thing. The other thing is just, I think the more I do content, the more the bar raises of like, oh my God, okay, I got to get to this level in terms of how I write YouTube videos, how I do the hooks, how I create open loops. Like, I really got to like just up my skill set on that, and then just compress the time it takes me down to do it. So like, I'll give you a good example. I can write a banger VSL, but I might spend 2 weeks on it. In the YouTube game, like you can't really, I mean, sure, you could do that, but I want to put out 2 videos a week. So like I need to get good enough to be able to also do it much quicker. Yeah. And then I'm also trying to figure out the short form side. So like that's a whole thing there. The second thing is where I really want to take the company. Like we could just continue to do what we're doing now, and progressively, just by spending a little bit more on ads and hiring more salespeople, which we really have enough salespeople now. We just made 2 hires yesterday. So we're pretty much where we need to be. If we just don't do anything and we just more and better of what we're doing, as Hormozy would say, we'll be at about 200 new sales a month for B2B. That, and this is kind of crazy, but to fully realize like our front end revenue on the back end, it will take about 18 months to even 2 years, because so much of it compounds and we get even second year renewals and all this stuff, right? But from the moment we hit and maintain 200 units a month, let's call it a year from there, just rough napkin math, we should double the company. Yeah. So just the B2B, 5 million a month. Then I'm rebuilding the RCA. I really want to build that mainly through organic. I don't really want to run a bunch of paid ads through it. Just especially B2C, the customers are way better organic. Yeah. And so that's kind of my main monetization for my content anyways, which is why I want to go broader. So that I just want to get to like 10 mil. I think that's for a B2C like that. I think that's like a safe, good number. So that's 60, right? So then what's like the next things? So the next things I'm focusing on is essentially we're launching a new division that is, it's not to enterprise companies, but it's kind of called our enterprise division for enterprise pricing. Mm-hmm. So this is people who need enough reps. Like you would technically fall into this category if they need more than, let's say, 10 to 20 reps a year, to where like you just pay us if you hire the rep. That's it. Like you might pay your first hire down, which might be $4,000 or $5,000. And then you just pay as you go. And then if you want to stop, you stop. We keep you in Slack. And then if you want to let us know you want more, I mean, that could be 2 years later, whatever. But it's just like, we send you people, you only pay us if you hire them. And then if they churn for whatever reason, we just credit it back to you and give you somebody else, or we'll just refund you the payment. So it's like no risk. And for much more higher volume people, it's much more economical than what we used to do, which is like, okay, to recruit, you kind of got to be in our mastermind. Like that's good for
What do you
people
mean for higher volume people? You mean like
people who need like 30 reps a year, 20 reps a year. They're trying to build a setter department from scratch. Or they're a roofing company and they need, pitching you. Or they're a roofing company
this is a live
that
pitch.
needs, like, I'll give you an example. Like we worked with this private equity company that was rolling up like roofing companies. And, you know, just to maintain 100 reps, which is where they're at, with like a 10% churn, they need 10 reps a month, right? They're internal recruiters. They have to do the entire team. So they just need more firepower on the sales side. So we kind of want companies like that even just with their churn, they got to have a function that just keeps new reps coming in. So I'm launching that division to go after companies who have more of an ongoing need. And also, if they're above 5 to 10-ish reps in their current team, we can do any industry. The issue with doing any industry with where my business is at right now is the problem is if you're a roofer hiring your first rep, like I can't really build, I mean, I probably could, but like, we're not experts at like coming in and okay, I got to teach you on how to be a leader. I got to get you out of the roofing fulfillment and the roofing sales, build that. Like that's not really my specialty. But if you already have 10 sales reps in your roofing company, I mean, I can come in and tweak a lot of your processes, but at the same time, like your stuff's validated. Yeah. So I can just, as long as I can take your best 20% of reps and create a model from that, my recruiters, outbound, inbound, et cetera, they can get you those right people. Yeah. So then that opens us up to the whole market, which is, you could imagine, like that almost gives us a B2C level of scale, but with a B2B super high ticket product.
It's like the hormones you go to small
So
business,
that's kind of like the thing. Just doing more of what we're doing is priority number one. Launching this, I call it the broad 2.0 or like the enterprise division. That's sort of number two. Number three, and this is a contingency on if that upmarket approach works, or if it does work, we're still going to do this anyways, is we have like our recruiting division is almost a company in and within itself, and it's extremely good. So we can do, and we've already done all other hires, you know, except like outside of sales too. So I'd like to go into a different sector completely, like home service techs, just to diversify and then have like a different brand that licenses and uses our recruiting as a shared service. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we would go after, let's say, home service companies and, hey, we'll place you techs.
Yep.
The nice thing about that is if you need to hire a tech, or if I do healthcare, if you need to hire a nurse, you don't need with sales. You have to have a good offer in place. You have to have good lead generation. You have to be a decent sales leader for that hire to even work, or it's a very high churn risk. That's one of the biggest issues I have at my company, is sometimes it's like, you know, they might not have everything in place, and then like somebody churns. Isn't it our fault? Is it their fault? You know, it's kind of tough. But if you just are a doctor in Miami and you don't have any of that stuff, but like you're busy and you want a nurse, you're willing to pay a nurse, whatever, we can get you a nurse. I don't need to consult you on all this other stuff.
You should just do telehealth.
So, and yeah, like getting virtual nurses for telehealth companies. So, because what I want to do is have, let's say, in the next 5 years, like this is what I've screwed up before. I had a portfolio of offers, but they were just random. I want to have a portfolio of offers, but really it's just, it turns us into not just a sales recruiting company, but a recruiting conglomerate that is diversified to these different industries. And that's really important because let's say AI replaces sales. I don't think that's going to happen, at least for the sales that we do, anytime soon, but let's just say it does. Well, if I'm also doing electricians and placing those into companies, and there's a lot of data center development, like I'm going to be hedged in that way. Healthcare is probably not going to go anywhere, right? It's so heavily regulated. It's just going to be so tough. So like that's another good sector. Home service techs, unless, I mean, if we're at the point where your HVAC person is a literal robot driving to your house and doing your unit, I mean, I don't know. We're living in a different world at that time. So that also is a good hedge.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm also approaching, like, I built this business model with recruiting that essentially nobody else does, right? No other recruiters do this like extremely high volume. We're faster than almost all recruiters. We get all of our clients through ads. Very rare for recruiting. We do like a transactional high ticket sales model. Very rare for recruiting. So I've built this like unique model. And this is the first time I'm stepping back and looking at first principles. And I'm like, okay, I've always assumed I had to do sales recruiting. But if I just approached This is like, I'm going to start a new recruiting business based on like macro data and economics and all this stuff. What is just like the best industry to get into? That's how I'm going to approach it in the future.
Yeah.
And then, the nice thing is the complexity, it's not building another company in the portfolio. It's really just, I got to get the marketing down, which can just be lead gen. That's the nice thing about B2B, which makes it a lot easier than doing low ticket. I just got to get the lead gen down. I can do that. And then I have an amazing distribution of sales directors. So I just got to place the right sales director, get the lead generation down, and then maybe we hire a couple specialized recruiters on our staff, but it's still in that same division because they're licensing from that staff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So that's kind of like, and I think just penciling it out, it will take time because it's a service. That's the thing about B2B. It's not like this. But there's no reason that can't do 150 to 200 million a year.
Yeah. Interesting. How do you look at where do you think you need to change to do that? Because like I feel like the last year for me, for context, was like almost understanding, and it just felt like a big year of experience, like a lot of activity, a lot of like stuff that went wrong, and like a lot of learnings. But I feel like a year ago I couldn't do what you just did, and now I can do as well, which is like, here's the plan. Like it's very obvious as to like how it happens.
And that is crazy. This is the first time I feel like I've had a very clear executable plan
Same.
of how to get past 100 a year.
Yeah.
Before I'm like, I kind of have this hypothesis, but I don't know. Like now it's like, even if let's say our upmarket motion doesn't work for whatever reason, I know these other things will work. Cause like I've even seen it. Like there's a company who does construction placement doing $1.5 million a month, but they have a recurring revenue model. Pretty cool. Faceless brand too. And I mean, they're going to sell for a lot of money, and they just place for construction, and they modeled all my ads. Their ads are literally my ads.
They just niche down.
Their ads are my ads. And it was funny. I was explaining this at at an event. I'll tell you who this is after, but somebody was like, bro, he's like, is it this company? And I was like, oh yeah, it's them. And he's like, yeah, that's my client. And he's like, we totally modeled your ads. And I was like, yeah, I would do the same thing too. Yeah. But they were literally doing like my classic, like 5 reasons why ad, the direct offer ad. I mean, the same, like
I've seen so many of your ads.
Yeah, I know. People just model it verbatim, but it just goes to, I mean, that's proof right there that construction, boom. I mean, it'll work. The key is I have to find people who the owner will reply to an ad, right? And that we can, and they'll also close in a 1 to 2 week time frame.
Yeah.
And that, we can recruit for. And then they have an ongoing need.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea. But how, you're going to ask, how do I need to change?
Yeah, well, yeah, like how do you need to change? But also like, what do you think took so long, or what do you think was in the last year, call it, what changed that now allowed you to be able to see it so clearly? And I almost say this like selfishly because I'm like, what was I doing?
I know. Yeah, I think that you just gotta do a lot of dumb shit, to be quite frank. I just don't know like why. This is pretty obvious. I don't know. I think I also had a very big conflict for a while of, am I gonna be this sales trainer guy for the rest of my life, or am I gonna do recruiting? Like, I didn't know. And I had also been, people, when my name comes up, they're like, oh yeah, he's a sales guy, which I kind of am. That's like my personality too. But so I was kind of cornered into that identity, which I think led me to try to do more of that stuff. So I think that's number one. I went through this whole era of a portfolio thing, which that also caused another identity crisis because we had scaled up the medical company so big. So there was like a 3-month period where I was like, I've grown this medical company faster than I've grown anything I've ever touched. So maybe I'm a medical guy now. So like, I didn't know, am I a private equity guy? Like what? And then when I kind of came back, it took a time when I was full-time in the B2B to just kind of calibrate to this. And we had tried, the thing is I had the right instinct in 2024 because we had tried going up market. I just did it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I could go into the details of that, but I had the wrong ad copy and I got the wrong, it worked, but the wrong people were on the phone. So I don't know. I think it just took some time, but I'll tell you like the inspiration, this is going to sound goofy, but did you watch the podcast with John Morgan on My First Million?
Probably.
The Morgan & Morgan guy. He has the multi-billion dollar recruiting firm, or the lawyer firm.
I listened to every single, we text about that.
And I was like, man, first of all, that episode was sick.
Yeah.
And then I watched the one on Patrick Bet David too, and I'm like, okay, this Morgan & Morgan guy is like, pretty legit. All right. And he just has a lawyer firm, injury, but he does pretty much everything. And they're doing billions of dollars a year in revenue. And then that kind of solidified for me. I'm like, if I want to create a big company, like it's not in probably sales training, it's in professional services, which is the recruiting. So that got me thinking towards that. And then one day I was on ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, and I was researching the model for this broad thing I wanted to do, because I knew I needed to change we have like a very info high tickety model for our current business. I knew I needed to change it for going up market. Like the pricing model had to be different. And it just dawned on me, like, I've just made this assumption I've had to do sales. Like what other industries would even be better for this? And lo and behold, there's like a bunch.
Yeah.
So I think that was a thing. And also, I heard Eddie say this, Eddie Malouf, is, the reason he's able to scale so big is he's scaled more horizontally than he has vertically, which in services, it is very tough to like just keep scaling and scaling and scaling. It's not kind of like what you do where, you can do a low ticket and then get totally better economics and all of this stuff. And I mean, I had a taste of that. Like when we had the 3 offers ripping at full steam, we did crack a 7 million cash collected month. But the problem was none of them related to the same kind of like mission.
Yeah.
And so I had a taste of that, and I was kind of thinking of what Eddie said, and I was like, I think that I have the distribution of sales directors. I know I can create marketing for it, and I've managed that before. So going horizontal like that, I think is like the play. Like I think that's what's going to allow us to do it. And there's tons of companies, Amazon, etc. Like they grow through teams of teams or like companies within companies. So it just clicked. And it's also something like that sounds cool to me.
Yeah.
Like when I look back, do I really want to, I just don't want to look back when I'm 80 and be like a sales guru. That's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm much more of like a business guy. Like I like high powered, like intellectual stuff. Not that sales isn't. It's just to me that just, I don't feel like I'm growing in that path. So this also is something I'm like, fuck, I'm like excited about this. Yeah. But I think the big things you asked, what do I need to change? Number one, with this content side, which is important, I just need to get in a rhythm enough to do it in less time, right? Which I'm sure is going to happen the more I do it. Because right now it's like my whole week's just content. Yeah. Thankfully I have a good team.
Yeah.
Because like my whole week is just content, writing YouTube videos, writing scripts, writing this, writing that, and filming. So I need to collapse that time. And then I think a lot of it is just, do you know Tommy Mello? So he lives over there, right? So we're neighbors. We got connected. I went out to dinner with him, doing 600 million a year. I won't say his earnings numbers, but ridiculous, like crazy profit margins, just total beast. And the thing I left from that conversation, and he recommended me some books to read too. I actually went over to his house. We played some Golden Tea. Great guy. Is I was like, man, like a lot of this stuff that's just leadership, CEO, good processes, etc. Like we probably as we go through this, we're going to need to get that down and just have a better, like, not more corporate, but kind of like that type of systems coming in place. Like the book he recommended that was very good. You could read it in one sitting. It's called The 5X CEO. And essentially it's a study across like a lot of private equity companies and their CEOs, and kind of similar like Good to Great. They analyzed all these CEOs that were under private equity companies who got put in when the company was acquired, and they looked at the top 10 percentile of the CEOs that predictably across multiple different companies have produced above a certain amount of return, or like an MOIC, and what they did different. And they just interviewed all of them, and the private equity companies have done the same thing, and then they distilled it down into 5 things. So that was
interesting.
It's a good book, dude. You can read it in like, I read it in St. Bart's in 2 days. It's a good book.
Interesting. Yeah, mine is very much so leadership, people. Like the biggest thing I think last year was like understanding all this, and I could not have seen clearly to anything.
Yeah.
Like it was more of the same. It was just literally more of the same. And I was like, oh, we can get it to 100 that way. And then we stick around 30% margin, do 30 million, bottom line, and just like sail off to the sunset essentially. And like super unrealistic for any type of exit, any situation without multiple product lines, without multiple, brand face risk, without like a million
and consistency
things.
Of revenue too. I'll send you a clip, but did you see the Hormozy clip talking about one of the companies that we've talked about on this podcast that they're huge in health, but he knows the guy, and basically just because they're all DR and their revenue fluctuations go up and down depending on the front end offers, they can't sell.
Yeah. So I need to get away from that.
But like, big brand face, e-com.
So I feel good about the plan now, like very clear on the plan. Now it just needs to happen, and that is very clearly the skill gap. Like, I don't know how to even put it into words necessarily, but like I feel like I've always done the like trencher, like even the whole personal brand is like, it's raw. It's like, I'm in it with you. I'll stay up till 2 a.m. and build the thing. Like, I'm in the weeds and all this stuff. But that's also in a leadership capacity or like a connection capacity the same. So like, it's very difficult to even like have a difficult conversation or like an authoritative in the personal brand stuff or in the team or whatever, because I've always just been like in it with everyone. Never like this. And that also comes from kind of how the company changed and cap table shifts and leadership shifts and like co-founder, co-owner, like that kind of stuff. And like we have super like amazing partners, an amazing team, but there hasn't really been like the structural like hierarchy of like leadership necessarily. So then to lead leaders when it's kind of was like a little messy on that, but then people in the right seats, reporting cadence, meeting cadence, like, stuff sounds so stupid, but like it's very impactful.
It matters,
and that
a lot,
hasn't existed. So like I feel like I have not been a leader of leaders all of last year, and because I didn't have the skill to do it, and it's like under construction. But that is like by far the unlock. And then I started doing all this stuff with WAP, and it's like, oh, we need all this team and this and this. And I'm like, it's the same issue everywhere I go, which is like the ability to recruit, onboard and lead / manage leaders and like replace yourself out of that division and actually like continue to have the mission through, get the numbers you want. Oh, you see this and this, cool, shift, and it actually shifts without you having to go in it. And like that is a huge disconnect for me right now.
And this is partially self-inflicted because I do think I have the team to actually.
I compliment you on this all the time. I was talking about you last night, and I was like, from interactions I've had with your team, and then also there were two people at the table that are in a figure boardroom, and they were like, this guy, and like they talk so highly of your team, and I would just call you Weapon. That's why I would call you, and I just that's my quick word. But like your team,
here I have a little pyramid framework, and it's if you want to build a 7-figure business, you can probably do that by yourself. If you want to build an 8-figure business, you probably need a couple good like 7-figure level entrepreneurs, and what I mean by that is people who, they might not be entrepreneurs, right? Or like, that people misconceive what I'm trying to say. But they're people who, like, they're talented enough to where you're like, man, if this person really wanted to do it, they could probably create a 7-figure business. So they get to 8 figures, you got to have a few like 7-figure caliber people, in terms of their skill sets. They might not have the mindset to go off and do it on their own, but they're kind of like that. Then they get to, beyond that, so what was that? 7 figures, just you. 8 figures, you probably need a couple 7-figure people. I'm assuming to get to multiple 8 figures, you need a lot of 7-figure people, and then, well, I'm already at multiple 8 figures. So you need a lot of 7-figure people, and then maybe 1 or 2 like potential 8-figure people. To get to 9 figures, I'm assuming you need 3 or 4 like 8-figure level people. And then you need a ton of 7-figure. So look at, like, when I was at Hormozi's office, I mean, you got to think like Sharon, he's a 9-figure guy, right? So Layla, 9-figure person. Alex, obviously 9. Like, those are people who can take it to $1 billion, and they probably have some other people at that level or close. Then, like, I mean, so many people on their team. It's like, I mean, there was literal people on their team in just managerial roles who were like, yeah, I exited like a home services company for $30 million. This just sounded fun. And I'm like, okay, well, if you have people like that, and just mid management, which not even like like the top. I'm like, that's like mid management. Well, okay, no wonder you're doing the revenue you're doing.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of like what I just said. Like, it all kind of does the circle, and then it's like, oh, it's back to me. Like, it's back to it, or it's you. Then the person we just talked about, right? Amazing person that was on our team. Got an opportunity over there, and think of the things, right? It's like comp, probably not better actually at all. The person that's like their leader. Me versus that.
They're going to learn way more.
Right? They're going to learn way more. It's a better leader. It's a better, like,
more in osmosis from the organization. That's a big part. And that's
so it's like, how do you become that, right? And it's like, that's why I look at me, or when I'm like, oh, how would you change? Like, because like, it's the proximity to you, it's the vision you have, the all the things of you in order to continue to get more talent like that and continue to raise the bar. Because as you're doing this, you're raising that. You're getting even more people. And comps there, and this is there, but like, it's you. as a person, being the driving force of that to even get that type of talent and then retain that talent. Like I just had, that's an example of I didn't retain the talent because apples to apples, it's not even close right now. And like it can get there, but it's not.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm like thinking of things.
You're further along, I think, than you're giving yourself credit for, because I know some people on your team, you do have good people.
Very good.
And you at least have, especially because what you did on YouTube, you're known enough, and like Warrior Babe is now, because the issue with the nice thing about my business is if it gets bigger, I kind of, part of my business is marketing like if we're doing 60 million, let's say, I'm going to market that I'm doing that because I'm working with other people in my industry. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, because I'm helping the average coach or a service agency. So the lessons I learn along the way. So I kind of naturally self-market our success, which is a huge advantage, right? But the issue, if you're not on social building your brand, is that I didn't even know what Warrior Babe was. Never even heard of it.
Yeah.
Never even heard of it. I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of stuff. But then when you started making content, now I know what it is. So that'll also help your recruiting. And
that was the whole goal.
And then your leadership and retention, you just get better at that over time.
Yeah, just need to get better at that.
Have you met Brandon Poyen from Lady Boss?
I connected, but no.
If you go into the e-com side and like kind of the brand influencer side, he lives over there.
Okay.
And great guy, and be a good connection for you.
Yeah.
Because he's wicked, man. They're so good.
Yeah.
A lot of learning lessons there. So I'm curious, fun topic, but what are the most
This has all been fun
banger? I know. This is a fun topic. What are the most banger just business models in the space that you've seen? And by the way, if you like this content and you want to come to our next event where I'm gathering all entrepreneurs, people like Ryan, and we're talking about what's working in the industry, what's not working in the industry, and the lessons that we've learned, scaling to over 100 million in total revenue. We have an event coming up in our 8-figure boardroom mastermind. If you want to know more information about that, you can click the link in the description and it'll tell you all about it. Just can be like random. I'll give you one to kind of, as you're thinking about it. So like, because if I had to start another business and it couldn't be recruiting, right? Because part of the reason I actually had the idea I was like, if I had to start another business in this space, what would it be? And I was like, fuck, I'd probably just do recruiting and just do it for a different industry. And then I started thinking about it. But I'll give you a random one. I've noticed, because I have so many just interesting clients, some of the most banger offers I've seen are legal.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say financial.
One that gets people out of timeshares contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lawyer legal type of offer, over 10 million a month, right? Another one that's like some sort of immigration attorney. I don't know exactly how to explain what they do, but I think they're on the East Coast. Banger. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but I know how many recruits we give them, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
So those are two that, and like, if you had the right partner, I feel like it's very doable to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you think of like what are the functions you want? You want like ideally an insane LTV, and you want to be able to use direct response.
And I think the thing is, you want B2B, because I think it's so much.
I want like B to high net worth C. Like is my
that's
model.
What I'm saying. B2B caveat accessible through ads.
Yes.
For us.
Correct.
I mean, like we're not.
Correct.
You don't have to do that for our skill set. That I look at the same thing.
I've talked about like how I would if I was to go from scratch, and I actually tried to do this and just wasn't evolved enough, and I don't know the partnership and whatever it was, maybe the model it should have been, but anything that you can touch in financial world that you can direct response. So an example of this, and I don't want to call her name out, but it was like an inner circle early member, Russell. It was around the time of Lady Boss. It was around the time of Hormones. Like it was around that era. There was someone else who was in that group, and they did a direct to cart auto web that was just hammering. And to my understanding, it was basically just liquidation. It was like a 2K offer, and it was just liquidating. And then they came in, and then inside there was like, oh, and then there's this. I'm like giving away all their shit if I say all these things, but whatever. It's like there's a safe. There's a safe in here. It's like this mechanism, and it's like, oh, you got to use the safe in order to do it. And the safe was whole life insurance.
Right.
So all these guys are whole life insurance agents. They're then having massive policies because they're then teaching you how to use that for then real estate investment.
Right,
like, use your dollar twice, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So they're liquidating, free acquisition, cult, absolute community cult. And then for it was like a fund for short-term rentals. It was rehab for this.
Yeah.
It was real estate. It was like boom, boom, boom.
Stuff like that would be good.
So, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like the commissions on whole life it's like, okay, there's some fun LTV, then the fun, then this, then that. And then it goes like the next layer, when you have the right type of community or like buyers, essentially, they need estate attorneys, they need someone for AUM, they need like all of those, like, and certain industries have certain caveats on what you can get paid on as percents versus like CPAs and like all these deals, but you could essentially have like a partner network through that. It would print, like there's Paradigm Life, I always forget the other one, it's not NerdWallet, that's the there's the one that's cash flow something. There's like 3 or 4 of these guys that then have like a core book funnel for consumption, and they hammer and do like serious size in terms of basically just cash, like just profit.
Those are good. Yeah,
I would for sure get into that.
I like the legal stuff because, you know, what's funny is when I listen to that John Morgan podcast, and you do know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's like a big Democratic donor, and then I'm listening to the podcast, and I'm like, man, this guy does not sound like a Democrat. Like, he's like loves making money. He's like, I want to hunt money, you know, like all this stuff. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I started to think about it, and I'm like, oh, I get it. The reason that he, you know, and a lot of lawyers is because, you know, Democrats favor regulation more so than Republicans do, you know, so non-political, but that's just what they do. Now, if you're a lawyer, you want more regulation because it's more business.
Yeah.
And frankly, the issue is we very rarely deregulate, despite I think it being a worthy goal. We very rarely do that. And the trend's probably only going to continue. So getting into that sector, it's almost just a guaranteed, you know, as long as it's specialized and there has to be a specialized knowledge around it. Because obviously with AI, you know, the big caveat, oh, you're going to be able to do blah, blah, blah. It has to be some sort of specialized moat around it. Yeah. And I'm not sure if like the timeshare people or whatever have that or not, but that would be what you would have to look into. But that's why I like that from a trend standpoint, you know?
I think I see and hear about a lot of these companies now that I'm like in WAP and working in this space and like get to hear, you know, from the sales guy or whatever's happening. And it is remarkable. Some people who are using like sections of how we run the business. Like we do a lot of stuff evergreen, we do everything evergreen, right? It's like constantly happening. You constantly need to have team, like all of this. There are so many guys, like so many, that'll do 1 or 2 maybe launches a year, and these huge launches, and they'll do like 5, 7, whatever, like basically in profit, almost all. And then they just spend their life like living. And they just run this gambit, and it's either a new offer or it's the, you know, 2 or whatever version. And like, I'm not even talking like the Imans and whatever, like he has a cadence and he does his thing and it's these new offers but like, I'm talking guys who literally are like an offer 1 time a year, make $5 to $7 million, and then just chill.
They're just good.
And they have this much time in fulfillment that's locked. So then they only have, you know, team for this amount of time. They have a little bit of ads for this amount of time, and then it's like, that's it. And then they move the cash around, which you also do a really good job of. Like, I feel like multiple times I've heard you're partnered in this company or you invest in this in different spaces and vectors.
So random.
Like,
but I've had good success with doing that. Yeah. But it's a lot of just instinct.
Do you have like actual liquidity from any of them?
Actual what?
Like liquidity from them? Like if you had like, you know, what were you, yesterday we were talking about one where you're like, oh, it was at this value when I came in, this next round is going to be at this amount. Like have you ever had money come out of those?
There's 3 major ones that I have. If I have any others, then they didn't work. I guess there's 4 that I can think of that I know are working. But I haven't done like a ton of venture stuff. So there's school. Obviously, with that, there's not going to be any liquidity or whatever.
Yeah,
like I just did an angel round. I was basically the first person outside of the immediate people from consulting.com.
I did not know that.
So and I put in $500,000. So that was great. And then
go Hormozy, go.
So that could I know that could literally. It's kind of depressing in a way, but I'm happy. I'll take the depression. Is that could make me more money than...
Isn't that crazy to think
about?
It
won't. I don't think it'll make me more money than... By the time it exits, or there's some sort of liquidity, I don't think it'll make me more money than I've ever made in business. But I mean, very close, which is pretty crazy. Like in terms of what my liquid net worth is now versus what that could potentially be. Pretty crazy. But yeah, when I heard about the Hormozy thing, I was like... pumped.
Thank you.
Oh my God, this is amazing. And then the launches, I'm like,
let me know if you need anything.
Yes. So
I feel like you guys are good.
Has been great. Sam's brilliant.
Yeah,
and then there's Saleskick, and then there's Dialer. Well, there's Update, which is the drink company. That was a venture deal I did. I don't know if I can say the numbers publicly, but whatever. Yeah. It's like at a 7x now. and they just brought on an ultra famous person. And so I think that one's going well. And then there's my more active ones are Saleskick and Dialer. So those, if you're talking about liquidity, like if they do pay distributions, like I'm a partner.
They do?
If they do pay them, but like obviously with tech, you're reinvesting into devs and whatever. So I'm not like expecting anything, nor do I care. But those have just done really well. You know, I've obviously helped them send clients, but they're also good products, you know, by themselves, and they're really, really good teams by themselves. And those are both like, there's no burn. They're both profitable, which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously at like a tech company, a lot of times it doesn't happen. And I don't see, I mean, I feel like they both have a straight shot at success. You know, I think the only question is the magnitude of success that they're going to have. And I think that's a good place to be. I think they're going to both do really well. But, you know, I don't have like a framework for it. It's just like stuff comes up and it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And just relationships.
I didn't know that school, and that's hilarious.
That was lucky.
Yeah.
But
Dude,
I met, you know, I knew Sam. We met a couple of times, and then when he asked me to invest, I mean, this was way before it even had the traction it has now. Like, only a few people from like Quantum were on it, and you know, some other people.
Yeah.
Sam's just legitimately the smartest person I feel like I've ever met in my entire life. So I was just like, I'm just betting on Sam.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah, all roads lead back to Ovens in some way. It's like that's where I met Luke.
Yeah, well, that's also where I got started in the industry. So I started with Consulting Accelerator. Tried to start a Facebook ads agency. Groupthink. That's what everybody was doing in that program.
Yeah.
Just mimetic desire. It's just like you see somebody else doing it, you're like, I think that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
I bought Uplevel as the first one because they were like X amount of time in where they were willing now to sell it direct instead of just Ascension. And I got in there and was like, oh, like this is me productizing like this the thing that I didn't do.
It was
I was like, I'm not going to be
really
eye-opening
eye-opening for me too when I got it. What happened to your YouTube content? Because you haven't posted in 4 months.
It stopped. I did. I posted on December
you posted once in 4 months?
26th, I think, with like a kind of year in review and year future. So the whole point of YouTube for me was what I say in the beginning of every single one, which is like talent, opportunities, network.
Yes.
And talent literally meant so we could hire for the businesses or any other future venture thing, which does work like just purely through the reach, but like it almost works like not the person is a follow in the following or whatever. Yeah. It's more so it's like, oh, they know someone. So like when I started doing that, I went 35 days and had like 300 subscribers, and I had gone 35 days in a row. Yeah. And like I was getting like a couple hundred random views and all of this, but like I had Brooke Hiddink had seen my videos and is in like we're DMing. Tan, like it was people doing 1, 2, 5 million a month that are just seeing my crazy little niche things. Yeah. But like I seriously had like a couple hundred followers. Right. And I would always tell everyone to DM me on Instagram. And I had an X account that was my name, but it was just like empty. And it was just sitting there. I like tried to do some. And to zoom back even further on this, and then I'll promise I'll get to your why did I stop. But I have followed Iman. I followed you, Iman, and a couple others in similar caliber for no joke, probably 8 years, like 10 years. Like I've watched everything you've ever put out. Yeah. I've watched everything Iman ever put out. Like I knew who all of you guys were and like watched all your stuff without knowing any of you, obviously. Yeah. And when it was time, I was like, I need to do this in some capacity because I saw Iman talking about like XYZ, and I was like, I'm going to pay Iman. I'm just going to do that. Yeah. So I paid him like 18 grand. And you get an onboarding call at this thing. He could only do it at this time, or it was going to be in 2 weeks. I'm like, I want to do this now. Took a call at 3 a.m. because it was Dubai time for like him. So 3 o'clock Eastern. Woke up at like 2:30. Made a pot of coffee. Like sat down and had my hour with Iman. Never met him before. Never talked to him. And he's like, oh, this and this and this, and am I an advocate of what? Like all these things, and it all basically just came down to like long form, organic, YouTube, niche pocket. Do it on X as well. Just worry about those two. The other one's kind of like social cloud, like Instagram, and you can get a couple thousand followers on both, and then basically just make a couple $1 million doing like consulting deals. It was like essentially the framework. And I was like, all right, cool. And he's like, do these content in this way. And I went through his whole thing, and it was like high production and this and that. And it's so in depth. And he's got like his content guy, and they teach all this stuff inside that 18K program. And I'm like, I'm not fucking, there's no way I'm doing this.
Yeah,
there's no way I'm doing this. And so I just started, I was like, I'm just going to fill like a little bank of them and do a video a day, because I have all these ideas right now of what I could talk about. And then I'll go into that. And so I just was like a Loom video. And all these guys started reaching out and were like, oh, get Screen Studio instead of Loom. It makes it look better for this. And like, oh, get this mic and just put it on your desk. And it's like $300, whatever, just do it one time. And so I started doing those. So I then did that for 35 days. And like, again, a couple core people are reaching out and a lot of people are DMing. And when I say a lot, it's like 100 to 200 of my 300 people are like in my DMs on Instagram, and I'm answering everything. People are like, oh, do you charge for this? Or, oh my God, how are you not more? Or like, whatever.
Yeah.
And this kid kept going back and forth with me. So I'm on day 35. I literally sent a text that morning that was like, I'm going to stop doing this. It's like almost embarrassing. It's like kind of embarrassing, like that I'm doing this. And nobody on my team, no one at all. And I'm on a golf course. It was the first time I left the house. I went golfing with my buddies, and I like refreshed my Google Studio or my YouTube Studio thing, and it was like this on the views. And I was like, oh, I finally hit like an outlier, because that's what they talk about. It's like, how do you do this perfect video that gets picked up by the algorithm?
Right. Yeah.
And I go on Instagram, and one of the kids that I was DMing back and forth with, and I call him a kid, he's like, because he's like 21 or something, and he's like, I'm about to put you on, bro. And I had been going back and forth with him and like chatting and like and trying to help or do whatever. And he posted a screenshot of here are the 3 offers that we use to get to 30 million a year or whatever. Right. And he posted it on an X, and it went like nuclear in like money Twitter land.
Yeah.
I didn't even have Twitter on my phone. Download it. I have like 1,500, 2,000 follower. I have like, it's a dead account. I'm like trying to put my like YouTube link in the bio. I'm like trying to update it on the golf. I'm like, I'm not playing these couple holes, and I'm like fixing everything up. And in 3 days or something like that, I went from 300 and like 100 to 3,000 on both. And I had 3,000 then subscribers. That was like this little honeypot. And I just was like, boom, I'm in. Like, so then I went another 30 days of doing just like me videos. And then I felt like I like knew a lot of people now were getting connected. So I did an Eddie Malouf interview, popped off, highest video. I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. So now I had access to everyone. Made a Dream 100 and was like, I want Cole and I want Iman and I want this. And then I went through the interview circuit with random ones when I couldn't get somebody on for a day. I would literally be like, are you free today at 2? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, cool. All right. So like, that's my video for the day. Phew. Yeah. And then if not, it was 5 a.m. and I'm making a video on some random topic of like what's happening now. Yeah. And that was it for 4 months. And I tried to stop at 100, and I up and went to a 101, and I was like, shit. I was going to stop at 90, and then I was supposed to stop at 100, and I was on it, and I messed it up. So I was like, I can't stop at like 102. So I was like, what's the next logical number? It's like 4 months straight, 120. So I went to 120, and then I stopped. And I was like,
nice.
I need some oxygen. And then that's when the event circuit thing started. So then you invited me, Jeremy invited me, Iman, like all these guys like invited me to their events. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to take it to in real life, and I'm going to go meet everybody, or like all the cool people. Nice. So then I did that. And then that was cool, but then I wasn't doing videos at that time. And then frankly, I just like got out of it. Like everyone on the team, like it became like this whole thing. And then I had access to everyone. I had 10K, like it just kind of drifted to 10K, 12K, 50, whatever it is on both. And I was like, okay, like I did what I wanted to do. Like I found my little niche pocket of people. I got a talent. The thing with talent is we're kind of getting away from internet marketing bro-y, and it's very internet marketing bro-y, like the talent pool that I get. So like it's very difficult, like I said, for like a sales director, for example. I can't hire like one of these a lot of like the really good sales directors in our world, because like it is not a match with culture and with target. It just doesn't really work. There are people for sure, but like, so talent, pretty good. I can definitely make a post and get a lot of like creative strategists. I post and it's like, boom, 200 new job, like cool. Opportunities, I denied everything, which is another very, I don't know. I'm not solid on if I should have or could have. Like I definitely could have if I should have, but I got like equity offers and rev share offers and and I'll pay 50K for a day and like all these things in my DMs, and I just said no to everything. Yeah. I need to do a tweet one time that's like, if I've ever denied your money in DM, screenshot it and reply to this post. And like it has to be hundreds. Where I've been like, no, like paid consult, this. So I've said no to everything, which like literally left high hundreds on the table for sure.
Yeah, easily.
And then so opportunities was kind of like, okay, oops. And there were some that I should have done, like advisory shares, and I probably could still, but like I should have done something. And then network, so that just meant like friends. Like I had no friend. Like I have like my core like 15-year buddies that are like my 5 dudes that we've been close forever. They're like my hometown friends. But like I had nobody in the industry that I was like friends with, or like I can't talk to anybody about anything other than Luke, right? Who was like other co-founder, and we would always, we're in the business. But I had nobody outside of that, except everything I consumed, which was like all of your guys' stuff, 10 hours a day or more on one screen on YouTube videos of what everyone's talking about and what's hot now. And then I'm doing the actual building over here.
Yeah.
For years.
Right.
So it worked. And then I just kind of was like, all right, I'm good now. And my new thought on it and plan was like, I want to do weeklies, like almost like journal style, like what's happening now, like what's working now, what's not working. I don't want to do dailies.
I think that's smart.
And then I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then I went to make a video and I was like 20 minutes in and I was like, what am I talking about? And then I was like out of practice and I was like, all right, I'm just going to scrap this one. And then I haven't done it. So I made like a whole mirror board and I was like, all right, so this is what we're working on now. This is the focus. And then I scrapped it. And then I went and did a one with Jeremy a week ago, kind of similar style to this, but it's like 2 hours and it needs to be like clipped and edited. And I like don't have an editor because I just do everything raw.
Yeah.
And like I don't use my team
for. If you want to do
for
maintenance, dude, you could do an end of month recap, what I've learned every single time, and then do one podcast. Yeah. You could just do that and be fine.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the arc right now, and then a couple more events. I'm coming to your event with Sam. We're gonna get 2 queens.
Sam Sutter. Good guy.
Yeah, good dude. I have to fly from there. I can only be there till the 27th because then I got to go to Iman's in Dubai, and it's like
what's that like?
Iman's events.
Yeah.
So if I had to rank events, I can't accurately do it in like order, but I can. So first off, the audience and who are like the buyer or the members, I guess, essentially, between like you, because I look at it as you, Jeremy, so you, Jeremy Haynes, Iman, and Nick kind of has his thing. Those are kind of like the core of like the top of sphere masterminds for our space.
Yeah. And I think I would imagine they're just different for different things. Because I'm sure they're all good.
Different for different things, different people in the room. And really different for different like it would be beneficial to be in all of them, and there's like probably 50% of it that's like kind of the similar-ish, but like each one has their niche. So like I view yours as like obviously there's the sales function, but it's like I tried to say this to you before, but it's like almost like it's closer to like SMB or like real business, but still online, like not just internet marketing broy.
Is your stuff career. We'll have like IT companies, agencies. Just it can be all over the map, like sometimes like a solar company, but it's mostly coaches, agencies, consultants, etc. But it's all business owners, not necessarily like DR experts or probably different from Iman, like it's not influencers. It's people who mainly have like a sales team and they run ads.
So yours for that in like the type, the membership, and then the event actual type, yours is extremely high caliber, which in like, so in each one does it different. So yours are like these cool locations. Last one I went to, and I think it was a new structure, but it was like half of the day is like content or like speakers, and the other half of the day is like networking with people or going to do the thing, and it's multi-day across. And I was like, oh, that's a cool format.
And this one will be so much better because it's in Scottsdale. It's like, okay, what are we gonna do? Like, get on a bull, like a mechanical bull or something. Whereas this one, there's like snowboarding, or
even a speakeasy thing, and then people are able to go around, spend time here. Like it worked out well for me because I have people here, so I could go do that. The Iman is next. His is like profitability, the events. He does like a full day breaking down the last event, like at each one. So like his big launch, his big B2C launch, he then reveals literally everything. Like cost per this, like down here, how we did this, and then Jason generally comes as well, and Jason was at the last one and briefs like exactly how they did like the entire kind of offer and like the whole pitch and that, which is super valuable and cool. And then he does them at like, or continue on the member, it's international, it's very profit driven, it's personal brand driven, it's like that focus.
Brands,
and then the experience, it's truly experience. He does them in crazy places. Like I just went to, that was when I was in Cape Town. That's the first time I went to Cape Town.
Cool.
He did it there. The other one was in London, never been to London. He rents out the entire space. So he gets like the whole hotel. Which is cool because then it's like just you guys.
That's a big, I will say that's what we're shifting towards as well. Because it's so much better community.
So much.
And it's like the antithesis of that is doing it in, let's say, like Vegas, where everybody's incentivized to go outside of the hotel, and there's all these other people at the hotel. And it's just way better if you have somewhere where everybody's going to stay there.
Yeah, 100%. And so then the next one is straight from your event because it's on March 1st, I think. It's in like the desert in Dubai, like in this they're at like boutique hotels basically.
Oh, sick.
So, yeah, it's super cool. So that's his. Again, super high caliber, cool people in the room. Everyone's all, very similar type of people. And again, very international, which is a big difference than kind of these ones.
Right.
And then the Jeremy one is just hilarious. So like cost wise, first across this, I think Iman's is probably 60 maybe a year now, because it's like it's in 6-month chunks, and like he comes with an event plus the mastermind. Yours is in like 70. high into there, like close. And then Jeremy's has changed. Now it's like 100 and something because it's 10K a month. But forever it was like, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then for a long time it was around that same range. But Jeremy's is like growth operators. It's the spenders. It's like very paid ad focused land, but it also, it forever I feel like was a lot of VSL funnels, because that was like, but they shift on like what's hot now, or what's working well. So like there was a lot of webinar guys, there was actually a couple organic guys that went heavy, but his is like growth op, and the spenders and the scalers, and it's like those type of dudes. His whole mentality is like this whole like get richer, and like he embodies that, and he has shifted now to, it used to be at, he had this penthouse before, and in the middle of the building it was like an event center kind of thing, so you could do the event there on one day, and it's all speakers on one day, and then day 2 is just networking, so like everyone just comes to the same space, but it was at his penthouse, so you go and you just post up there, and it's all these dudes all just in his house for the entire second day. Now he got a space, and it's sick. It's good. So cool. It's like this like office thing. It has like this event center room. He's got like games all over everything. Like it's super cool, and it's that same structure. So it's like day 1 all speakers, and then day 2 that they do the cool stuff with the celebrations, which is very cool. There they do like $1 million months is like his thing. So the trophies. So there's 9 of them at the last one, which is the most ever, and then each one of those people is one of the speakers. We need to start
doing that, because we have like so many.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's got a good group together. And we were talking, I think he said it on one of his things, so I'm not like doxing anything, but like when he made the shift to, like it's a pretty serious shift to be like, oh no, this is like 10 a month. Like you have to be pretty like developed or like very serious about this situation to be like, oh, I'm gonna sign up for 10 a month every month. For his thing, and it's quarterly events. But the last couple people that have come in have all been one was like 60, one was like 120, and one was like 300 million a year. And like these guys are trying to like either get into, like they clearly have a well done business, and they either are interested in the direct response part, they're interested in the personal brand part, they're interested in the room and like who else they can meet. But he's curated a cool crowd through, because his arc was like it was cool. Yeah. But yeah, I view them all kind of like, they are just very different. I'm trying to think what else I went to through that. I went to an affiliate one that was super cool, like a lead gen affiliate one.
That's totally different. And I think going to events that are just outside of, like I need to go to a recruiting event.
Yeah.
And just network with all these corporate people.
Yeah.
See what that's all about.
Yeah.
I've been trying to go to a private equity event. I bought a ticket. It's supposed to be this amazing private equity, super high level event. They have their event every single time at the time that I have my event. 3 times in a row. Every single time. And it's just, I booked mine before they release their date.
So the next one I want to go to is Dom Icavone guy. Do you follow him yet?
Yeah. I don't watch his content, but
I watch all of it.
I've seen it. Well, it's hard for me to watch because it's like day in the life, I think. So I'm that's too inefficient for me.
Yeah. I'm telling you, double screen, I throw something on there when I'm doing like stupid stuff, like I just like hear it going. It's solid. And it's also like within health and fitness. So it's like more in my...
What's the best stuff, info diet for you right now?
So to close that with him, he has one now that he launched that's info coaching.
Okay.
And the last 2 have been when I've had other events and couldn't go.
Sure.
And the next one, I have my first event that I'm doing.
Oh, wow.
Through and with WAP for like that whole thing.
Right.
And we are going to move the date now. We haven't announced it, and we were like very set on a date, and we're like, oh, let's give it more time for this and this and better weather in New York and all that stuff. So we're moving it. So I'm like, oh, I get to go to that finally.
Nice.
So I'm hopeful to go to that. But info diet right now is... I've always watched like a lot of I feel like the Hormozy stuff right now is, I don't know, where are the live streams? Are they inside the...
I think you got to catch them, and then you got to go to live.
Yeah, because I can't...
They splice it and put it back as
Yeah, so I don't like the splices. So like I like I want to watch them, and I like to consume that, and like I would, the Dave Ramsey style, the Cardone style, now he's doing it, like I wish I could do that, which is not efficient for me, nor do I have anywhere to send anyone, but like that would be my dream format as a person. Oh my God.
Yeah.
If I could just go for... If we could just do this...
It's hard to get the views though. It's very hard.
That's what I mean.
It depends though, like if you think about it, like PBD does it, but it's a political podcast, so totally different niche. And weirdly, you want to hear something interesting? So what Patrick Bet David did I don't know if he looked at the comedians, but the comedians, essentially what happened is they realized if they talked about current events and politics, they could sell out their shows like crazy, because obviously if you go off current events and politics and you do comedy around it, you're going to get way more views.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of times that's where a lot of them have drifted, and then they just sell out crazy amounts of shows.
Yeah.
He's the only guy that did that with business. And I do wonder if he looked
It's like offer jumpers.
if he looked at, the comedians and modeled that. I think it was also he was just interested in that, and that's what he does. But he does the live streams. I mean, Dave Ramsey does. That's a little. I mean, he's been doing it so long.
He's a juggernaut.
And then I don't know if there's any other like business. I mean, Hormozy, I guess, but he already had a huge audience. I don't know if there's any other business streamers that really crush it.
He's another example. I would have to. I wish there was a way. Maybe I have a screenshot somewhere, but I watched Hormozy. He had like a couple thousand followers on YouTube.
Yeah,
and like I had bought like Gym Launch because like we were in that space.
I read Gym Launch secrets.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What happened is I had a client who was an agency, and they were like, "Dude, we bought Gym Launch. Read Gym Launch secrets. Listen to the podcast." And I'm like, "Well, dude, it's gyms." And they're like, "Dude, it doesn't matter. Like, this guy's the best." And I was like, "Even though it's for gyms," he's like, "It's just the best for everything." And I was like, oh, okay. I listened to like 2. And I was like, oh, yeah, this guy's the best. And just binged all of his stuff. And then this is how much of a gritty, like obsessed information person I am. That same person and another client, both agencies. This is when he was launching Allen. So he was working with agencies more. And they were like, yeah, we did a one-on-one $50K consulting with them. And I was like, dude, what's it going to take for me to get the recording of that? Because, like, he didn't have, like, a lot of business content. It was still mainly gyms. Yeah. It's like, what's it going to take for me to get the recording of that? And I bartered sales reps away to get those recordings. I just gave them free sales reps, and in exchange, I got 2 different 4-hour... And what was so cool about that is that I learned so much. Like, those videos were insanely insightful at the time. Because, like, I learned all of, like, a lot of his core frameworks before even the books or like his main YouTube content came out, which was super helpful for my business.
I just remember where I lived at the time, which was probably 2021, because I bought the book. It was the same place I took our 1 million. Yeah, I bought I have a picture next to, we just got the ClickFunnels 1 million or the 1 Common Club or whatever, 2 Common Club. But yeah, so to go to his content now, the live stream stuff I think I would like the most. I see the clips. I don't like the short form, like random bit size stuff, like how they do like super small cuts of it. Yeah, like that has like taken over a lot of like the subscription feed on YouTube. So like I don't like those, and I try and like avoid those because I want the longer form stuff. Me too. I like yours. His when it's like an actual topic based, which generally is better actually on podcasts I've found now because I don't see them as frequent on YouTube when I go to find them. Because he has great podcasts that are like the 30-minute video that I feel like I don't see the video that matches that anymore, which is interesting. And I don't know if that's algo or different cuts or what. But I've watched everything he does. I think that's been a pivotal part of like how I think of business overall, the system, and like everything I talk about with like, like growth levers and bottlenecks, like that is a simulation, right, of like how I've consumed from that. One of your videos, where I really like started taking more of your like B2B or like your like macro video where you're like, here's how I basically how I shifted. That one was really good for me to see when you're like multi-port code and here's how we're shifting this.
I shut it down.
That
was a good video.
That was a good one. The one where you talked about
okay, but I get, so you watch some of mine, you watch some of Hormozy's, but what's the other? Give me the other info.
I'm telling you, info guy sources.
Info diet. Just it could be anything.
I'm pretty bad right now.
There's My First Million. I'll give you mine.
My First Million. Founders. Hormone. I'm trying to think like outside of our zone. I'm so in our zone. It's crazy. I have some direct response ones that I like go hard on.
Who?
It's like I have like OG things that I've uploaded into AI that I like personalize now for like Agora Big Black Book. Like I do those because I try and do that, and then because all the stuff with WAP, I like see who's doing it now, kind of, and like hear about who's doing it now.
Right.
Not in like what's their actual, but like I hear the names and then I go in like these rabbit holes.
Yeah, I'll give you Founders Podcast, Acquire Podcast. Is really good. You don't like it?
I don't love the format.
I think you got to listen to the right episodes. Like, listen to the one on Meta and then tell me you don't like it.
Okay.
Because I did try it, and I don't know why I didn't get into it. And then I listened to the meta one, and I was like, fuck, this is really good. And then I think if you just pick and choose, like you might not care about Coca-Cola. They just did one on that. But the meta one is really good, and I'm sure the Google one is really good too. But that's the next one I'm doing. The other thing, and I got this inspired from the Founders podcast. So I do all the same stuff. Like I'm looking at Hormozi, Jeremy Haynes. I'll watch your videos. I'll watch anybody, Daniel Isles. I'll watch.
Isles is
I don't watch like everybody's videos, but if it's something like I kind of just scan it to see like, is there going to be something I can pick up here, and then I will watch it. So I try to pick up things from the info industry. YouTube, it's kind of tough, right? I think books wise, the best books, and I would recommend this for you too, is books on management, leadership, etc. Because a lot of times when you read the sales and marketing books, they don't really transfer to our industry that well, but management, almost everything transfers. So, you got the high output management, outsiders, which is all those capital allocators that are really good. That's a good one. You got Good to Great, all the Jim Collins ones, but just the management books are really good. And then inspired from founders, I started reading a lot of biographies. And I will say, I do not know why I did not do that sooner, for two reasons. Number one, book-wise, because it's a narrative and a story, and if you read the right ones, you will consume so much more information, and you retain everything you learn. You'll retain way better because it's a
like
narrative.
Story based.
And the other thing is like the ideas you can get from it are really good. Like I read Jensen Huang's NVIDIA Way. It's not his book, but it's a book about NVIDIA. And there's just like so much shit, like just how they essentially, like, I don't know if you know this, but NVIDIA actually created the category name of GPUs.
No, I did not.
So they own the category of, it's just typical category creation thing, but crazy lessons behind that. There's also just how he manages his people. He tortures them into greatness. So there's a whole frame around that. Like he's so freaking intense and just calls people out. It's all the criticism is public. So he believes that if you get criticism one-on-one, you're just wasting a learning opportunity for everybody else. But that has to be imbued into your culture. He also has 60 direct reports, which really made me rethink, okay, that's the most valuable company in the world. I've always had this 8 to 12 direct report rule. Am I going to go to 60? No. But is there ways I can break that in certain departments or for certain things? And is there ways I can create more leverage? So that's like, and I can retain those ideas so much better because I hear the stories and the narratives around it. And also just for like inspirational and mindset type of stuff, it's the best.
Yeah.
Like it helps so much. And then I've trended, you'll find this funny, into political biographies and like basically just like general American history, which I would not say that has like a direct business impact, but I'm just like super interested in it. And there is like, I mean, dude,
Sam Parr always says, right? Like he's super into that stuff.
I know, I actually want to have a podcast with him just to talk about that stuff, because there's a 4-5 book series on Lyndon B. Johnson. So combined, it's probably 5,000 pages. I read the entire thing in a month. And dude, it's phenomenal. It's it's just some of the best books ever written. Yeah. But also, there is lessons you can take from him in terms of stuff that will apply to business, because that guy grew up in the hill country of Texas, like as poor as you can go, and basically rose to the most powerful person in the world, which is a pretty crazy story.
Yeah, that's when you're saying the reporting piece, I was talking to Cam, co-founder of WAP, and he was like, like, who reports to you? And he sent me something. He's like, it was about reporting structure. And it's like, who reports to you? And I'm like, oh, this. And he's like, what reports do they send you? I was like, what do you mean? Nothing, like, no, like nothing, like there. And he's like, no, like that's the whole point, is like they're reporting up to you. Like you're not going in and like into each section to get it. Like they're reporting up to you. And he's like, it's super simple concept, but like, why aren't they sending you reports? And like, you think about it, you're like, oh, my sales ended days or my this or this. And I was like, that's so funny at like a leadership standpoint. It's like, where do you have visibility, or where are they like rising through the information? But the more meta thing here is you're saying about reading. I have like, you look at my setup and it's like all books around. Those books are from 15 years old to 20, 5 probably when I did the Puerto Rico stint, and I stopped buying physical books because I had moved so many times. It was like miserable.
Yeah,
the hardest part of moving is to like move all the books. And then I moved into iPad and like did a little bit there, and then my life was just like nope. And then it went all digital, like not even like reading, like just digital like consumption through audio or through this or this. And then when I lived in Puerto Rico, it would be 3 or 5 mile walks a day, and I would just listen to Audible. That's when I went backwards on My First Million because they weren't releasing enough, and that's when I literally would listen to every My First Million back to 1 because they weren't producing them fast enough for how quick I was consuming them. And I just got out of it, and I literally haven't read a physical book in a very, very long time. I grabbed like 3 of them.
Start with like a Steve Jobs or start with the Jensen Huang one or the Steve Jobs biography.
Yeah,
because it'll get you way back into it.
Yeah,
there's so much better to read.
Of course, I grabbed like Traction, EOS.
So what I do is I'll read each morning like 40 minutes out of a biography, and then I'll just throw in a quick 10 to 15 minutes on a business book. Because I will admit, even though those business books might be more helpful, dude, they're like kind of boring. What I hate is shifting through a bunch of shit that I already fucking know or I'm not going to use just to find like the 1 or 2 tactics. Whereas like if you're reading one big story, it's just generally there could be chapters that you don't care about, but like generally it is interesting all the way through.
Yeah.
So
do you talk about your like I didn't know that about you, and I feel like I had consumed a lot of content, and I didn't realize we were at the last event you had here in Arizona. We had it's time for the dinner on whatever that was, probably like night 1, night 2.
Yeah,
and we're talking real quick, and you're like, yeah, just saying goodbye. I'm like, what? And it's like 8 o'clock.
Oh yeah, I get to bed early,
and everyone is like just now starting, and like drinks are starting to flow and this, and like I'm not really into the night culture and stuff anymore either. But like 8 o'clock, I was like, okay, like everyone's just like getting food, and you were done. And you were leaving, and you gave me the brief on that. And I found that so interesting, and clearly I didn't embody it enough, but like my mornings are, if I have my like dream setup is for like when I wake up for the first time, which is like 3, 4, 5,
right,
I'm like jazzed about something. I get up and like I have all those hours where it's just me, and then stuff starts at like 8, 9 where people start to like message, and that is when I've built anything. That is when I've like felt the best of my life. And you do something similar, but you like have like a reading regimen.
So
I go
to bed at 8 every night. That's just when we like to go to bed, and it's when I get tired. Sometimes, I mean, if I stay up longer, I think that day you're talking about, I mean, I had to wake up the next day. So if it was the last day of the event, I'll kind of like, I know, but if it's the last day of the event, I'll stay up a little later, but other than that, I'm going to bed at 8:30 is like pushing it. And then I wake up at 4:30. And then, so what I do is my first call is not going to be till 8 tops, sometimes 8:30, sometimes 9. And so I'll get my workout in, but like I wake up just through...
You work out in the morning?
Yeah. And then I just, I read for almost like usually 90 minutes every single morning.
That's great.
But it's a nice thing because when you wake up, you're kind of too tired sometimes to do anything. So it's a nice way to just kind of like wake up slowly.
Yeah, you need those.
And also if I don't do it in the morning, I won't do it. And so, but what I do is, so like, yes, from 4:30 till whenever I have to go work out, I'll just read. Now, the thing is, though, is what I do is if I'm behind on stuff, I can just axe that entire morning and just work.
Yeah.
So there's one day this week, because I was a little bit behind, where legitimately I might have read for like a half hour, but then from 5 or 5:15 to, I don't know, whenever it was like 8, I just worked the entire time. And I can even push my workout into the afternoon. It just depends on my day.
Yeah.
So like if I'm like, I really got to get some shit done, I'll just maybe skip my workout that day, or I'll push it to the afternoon, and I'll just take 3 hours in the morning, which is almost like 5.5 hours of normal in the daytime because nobody's up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't have the like at your event. I left one of the mornings at 2 something. I left at like 1 something.
Well, yeah,
and then with this time zone, I was having
people
like
just go crazy.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like party mode. It was like people were just like talking and cigars. Some people,
are drinking.
Yeah, we were like sitting out by a fire and just yapping and cigars and doing our thing. But then I have, with the time zone, I was having meetings at like 5 a.m. Like I looked at my Aura, I slept like 8 hours for the entirety of the event. Like it was hilarious. But
I can't function like that.
Yeah, that has to compound so well. the mornings like that, the time like that.
And I will say, if I had been doing this routine and just reading in the morning for the last 10 years, I mean, the amount of stuff I would have read and how that knowledge would have compounded, just about anything, even the political history stuff I like. I'm super into economics, and like right now it's just so nerdy, but I'm literally reading a book about just the history of capitalism. And this book, I was joking with my fiance this morning, I literally have to, there's times where I'll read a paragraph and it's so fucking dense. I'll have to ChatGPT what the fuck I just read for like 20 minutes. But it's, I mean, it's like I'm reading about like the mercantilism age. So like in the 1600s and, you know, all the policy that affected kind of the trade and what capitalism was like back then. And then it moves into different eras. I just like that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I read a whole book on Austrian economics. I just think that stuff's interesting.
Yeah.
So I probably should read more. I'm trying to shift it a little. Okay, I got to get to like all the business biographies and double down on that. But I'm also just kind of following my interest a little bit. But imagine if I had been doing that for 10 years, all the stuff I would know.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. My thing is I just don't even, like, I have to have something exciting I want to do. The whole like plan your tomorrow today and like rigid and all that, like that was probably the most I was like dialed in, was that era of time where it was like, oh, I know exactly what's happening. Like I open my eyes, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing at 5:15. And like, granted, it was not sitting there and reading for an hour and a half and probably compounding the right way. It was like, oh, cool, pot of coffee and like hit it. But I would go from 3, 4, 5 in the morning until those 8, 9s, and then I work out middle of the afternoon because it's like, if not, I'll fall asleep, and it's like my re-up and then back into it. But it's been intense. I've done the 16, 18 hour, no joke, actual like at the desk, and we all know that's not the most productive land ever, but like it's just pure activity, and there's a lot of stuff that does come good in there, but it's probably a lot of waste. But I've been doing that basically since I did the YouTube video stuff.
Nice.
And no, not nice. Like it's not working at this point. Like it's just not, like I need to zoom out and like work on the machine, not like work in it. It's very clearly activity did not equal output.